Chapter 323. Then, let's start with upgrading Earthen's power. As a passive soul skill, Earthen's power could still provide Wang Kai with a huge boost even if he didn't reveal his chaotic mountain and river cauldron. It allowed Wang Kai to obtain an extremely strong recovery ability even if he only revealed his Emperor Shura. It was also one of Wang Kai's treasures for fighting above his level. When Wang Kai wasn't strong, Earthen's power could provide Wang Kai with a boost in soul power that was heaven-defying. It could recover 70% or more of Wang Kai's soul power in a minute. Coupled with his yin-yang body, even if Wang Kai's soul power was depleted, he could fully recover in a minute. However, as Wang Kai became a soul sage, Wang Kai's soul power purity increased greatly. His total amount of soul power also increased greatly. However, Wang Kai's Earthen's power hadn't been upgraded. This also meant that Earthen's power could only recover 20% of Wang Kai's soul power in a minute. It wasn't very helpful to Wang Kai. Earthen's power was the foundation of Wang Kai's protracted battle. Hence, Wang Kai wanted to upgrade it first. Then, let's start upgrading. With a thought, Wang Kai took out a soul ring sublimation stone that was also shining with a rainbow light. It was extremely beautiful and mystical. After that, he crushed it. An hour later. Very good, Earthen's power has been upgraded. My strength has also increased. The rainbow soul ring's power of sublimation around Wang Kai's body had disappeared. The third soul ring of the chaotic mountain and river cauldron that corresponded to Earthen's power had also been upgraded to 200,000 years. There was an additional circle of dazzling patterns on the red soul ring. It was extremely beautiful. After being upgraded to 200,000 years, the effects of Earthen's power had increased by 3 times. It could recover 60% of Wang Kai's soul power every minute. If it was used to recover his injuries and stamina, the effects would be even more outstanding. At the same time, Wang Kai's overall attributes had also increased. The increase was between 3% to 5%. At the same time, Wang Kai's soul power crystallization had increased to 15%. It's still not enough. Although the effects of the Earth Strength Soul Ring had been greatly enhanced, it was still beneficial in terms of recovery ability. After all, Wang Kai didn't only have one God's martial soul. He had a total of 4 God's martial souls, and each of them consumed a large amount of soul power. Not only that, but all of Wang Kai's soul rings were also very high-ranked. Activating them required a lot of soul power. Naturally, the faster his soul power recovered, the better. Therefore, Wang Kai continued to pick up a soul ring sublimation stone to help the chaotic mountain and river cauldron's third soul skill upgrade. On the other side, Palace Number 1. Your Highness Shaji, why are you here? Looking at the slender woman in a black robe who had suddenly appeared in front of him, Quan Long's face revealed a trace of vigilance and fear. Although this woman wasn't very strong, she was one of the 2 concubines of the King of Massacre, Sha Ji and Xue Ji. She represented the will of the King of Massacre, the great King of Massacre. Hence, Quan Long was very cautious and didn't dare to be careless. Mr. Quan Long, I'm here to announce the goodwill of the King of Massacre. Looking at Quan Long, Sha Ji didn't hide her intentions and spoke directly. The goodwill of the King of Massacre? Looking at Sha Ji, Quan Long's eyes revealed a trace of confusion. He had been in the City of Massacre for so many years, but the City of Massacre had never shown any goodwill to anyone. Yes, the King of Massacre is willing to accept you into the management of the City of Massacre and become one of the giants of the City of Massacre. You will be on the same level as the captain of the City of Massacre's law enforcement team. Sha Ji smiled as she looked at Quan Long. There's no free lunch in this world. Tell me, what do I have to pay to receive such treatment? Quan Long was also a smart person. Naturally, he knew that there was no free lunch in this world. If he wanted to receive such treatment from the King of Massacre, there had to be conditions. You're very smart. I like to talk to smart people. It's very simple. As long as you participate in the hell-killing tournament and kill Wang Kai, you'll be able to receive everything I've said. Of course, you don't have to worry about not being able to defeat Wang Kai. The King of Massacre has said that as long as you're willing to accept this mission, he'll temporarily raise your physique to that of a titled Doluo when you enter the arena. Staring into Quan Long's eyes, Sha Ji spoke plainly. Kill Wang Kai. Hearing Sha Ji's words, Quan Long didn't immediately reply. Instead, he was deep in thought. Mr. Quan Long, this is your only chance. Once it's gone, I won't wait. I know that Mr. Quan Long has an enemy who's a titled Doluo on the Doluo continent. Mr. Quan Long has entered the capital of Massacre to train your strength and kill him. However, I also know that Mr. Quan Long has been invaded by the murderous aura. You can't control the murderous aura in your body. If you participate in the hell-killing tournament, even if you win, you'll immediately lose your mind and become a madman. You might even become a walking corpse. It's impossible for you to obtain 100 victories and become the champion. Sha Ji spoke plainly as she stared at Quan Long, who was deep in thought. Not everyone was like Wang Kai, who had a heaven-defying martial soul like Emperor Shura. 4 ordinary soul masters, every time they won the hell-killing tournament, the murderous aura would invade their bodies. Once they couldn't control it, they would lose control and lose their minds. This was also the reason why Quan Long, the strongest soul master in the capital of Massacre, didn't dare to continue participating. You're right. Can you help me? Looking at Sha Ji in front of him, Quan Long's eyes flashed with anticipation as he asked in an expectant tone. Of course you can. If you're willing to help, the King of Massacre will personally remove the murderous aura in your body and guarantee that you'll obtain 100 victories. At the same time, he can give you special permission to return to the Doluo continent for revenge without having to pass the Hell Path. Furthermore, when the time comes, the capital of Massacre will be your most solid backing. It can even help you take revenge. Looking at Quan Long in front of her, Sha Ji laid out her bargaining chip. All right. Your conditions have moved me. I'm willing to fight Wang Kai to the death. After thinking for a moment, Quan Long finally made up his mind and nodded in agreement. Quan Long was very clear that with his strength, it was very difficult for him to suppress the murderous aura in his body. If this continued, he had no hope of obtaining 100 victories. He could only die of old age in the capital of Massacre without being able to take revenge. On the contrary, although Quan Long felt that Wang Kai was stronger than him, he had also received the King of Massacre's promise that he would be able to strengthen his body during the battle. When the time came, it was still unknown who would win and who would lose. But if he won, he had a chance to take revenge. Compared to dying of old age, Quan Long was willing to fight to the death. Chapter 324. Very good, Quan Long. You've made the right choice. I believe you won't regret it. Now, please come with me. The King of Massacre will personally dispel your killing intent and help you improve your physique so that you can withstand his power in battle. Looking at Quan Long, Sha Ji revealed a faint smile. Then, she led Quan Long to the king's mansion in the city of Massacre. On the other side, in the small plain, Earth's power continued to evolve. Taking out another soul ring sublimation stone and crushing it, Wang Kai actively guided the 7-colored soul ring sublimation power to the chaotic mountain and river cauldron's 3rd soul ring. Wang Kai had practiced the process of upgrading soul rings many times, so he was naturally familiar with it. In addition, Wang Kai could bear the pressure of upgrading a 200,000-year soul ring when he was a soul king. Now that Wang Kai had become a soul sage, upgrading soul rings was as easy as eating and drinking for Wang Kai. An hour later, ding! Using a 100,000-year soul ring sublimation stone, the 3rd soul skill of the chaotic mountain and river cauldron has been successfully upgraded to a 300,000-year soul ring sublimation stone. Ding! The chaotic mountain and river cauldron's third soul skill, Earth's power, has evolved. Evolved soul skill, continent's power. Accompanied by the system's notification, the color of Wang Kai's third soul ring deepened, and the pattern on it changed from 2 rings to 3 rings. Wang Kai's physique also improved under the evolution power of the soul ring. Not only that, but the Earth's power had also completed its evolution, evolving from Earth's power to continent's power. In the past, the Earth's power could only be effective when Wang Kai's feet were on the ground. But after the Earth's power evolved into continent's power, as long as Wang Kai was on the continent, he could extract the continent's power and turn it into soul power, spiritual power, or blood force. It was much more flexible. Of course, if Wang Kai were above the ocean and far away from the continent, the effects of the power of the continent would be a lot weaker, and it might even disappear completely. This was a small flaw of the soul ring, but as long as he continued to upgrade his soul rings, Wang Kai believed that this problem would be easily solved. Not only that, but the strength of the continent's recovery ability had also increased after its evolution. With the strength of the continent, it only took half a minute to recover all of Wang Kai's soul power. Its effects were extremely heaven-defying. Continental strength is enough for now. In that case, he would continue to upgrade his other soul rings. Emperor Shura, it's you. With a thought, Wang Kai took out a soul ring cleansing stone and began to absorb it. Half a day later, after painstakingly cultivating, the original 4 soul rings of Emperor Shura had been cleansed, and they were replaced with brand new 100,000-year soul rings, greatly increasing their power. Wang Kai's attributes had also increased once again. All of his attributes had increased by about 15%, and the progress of the crystallization of his soul power had also increased from 15% to 16%. For the remaining 4 soul ring sublimation stones, I'll upgrade the power of time, power of space, and power of destruction as well. With a thought, Wang Kai released his divine eyes of creation and began to refine them. A few hours later. This is great. My strength has reached a whole new level. Of the 4 soul ring sublimation stones, Wang Kai distributed 1 to the power of time, 1 to the power of space, and 2 to the power of destruction. After the soul ring sublimation, Wang Kai's power of destruction soul ring had increased to 500,000 year, while his power of time and space soul rings had increased to 300,000 year. At the same time, all of his attributes had increased by about 15%, and the crystallization of his soul power had increased by another 1%, reaching 17%. Not only that, after advancing to a 300,000-year soul ring, Wang Kai's control over the power of space had also increased significantly. Not only that, Wang Kai's use of the power of space was no longer limited to traversing through space. He could also condense space to form a spatial cage to trap his enemies. He could also condense spatial cracks to form an indestructible spatial cut. As for the power of time, after advancing, the amount of soul power required to achieve the same effect of time acceleration and deceleration was reduced. Coupled with the recovery of the power of Earth, Wang Kai could maintain a 50% time acceleration or deceleration state for an extended period of time if he wasn't in a fighting state. If he gave it his all, he could even increase the speed of time by 70% for a short period of time. As for the power of destruction, after successfully advancing to a 500,000-year soul ring, Wang Kai's understanding of the law of destruction could be said to have reached a higher level. If he fully unleashed the power of destruction soul skill, Wang Kai's attack could threaten even the weakest titled Dolu. Very good. Then, the next step is to let my soul bone completely transform. After using all of his adaptive soul rings and soul ring sublimation stones, Wang Kai's strength had reached a new level. Following this, Wang Kai prepared to strengthen his soul bones. At present, apart from the 700,000-year void thunder dragon right leg bone, Wang Kai's other soul bones were all 10,000-year soul bones. They were top-tier treasures in the eyes of ordinary soul masters. However, to Wang Kai, these soul bones were low-class and messy. They couldn't improve his overall strength. Before this, Wang Kai had kept these soul bones because he didn't have enough points. He could only force himself to use them. After experiencing countless killings, Wang Kai's points had reached a shocking 7,117 sources. This was enough for Wang Kai to upgrade all of his soul bones. Regarding this, Wang Kai wouldn't be stingy. Points were meant to be used. They would always be points in the system. Only when they were converted into his strength could they be truly used. Of course, Wang Kai wouldn't use up all of his points. It was necessary to keep some for emergencies. System: exchange for 3 soul bone stripper stones. With a thought, Wang Kai ordered the system. Exchanging for 1 soul bone stripper stone requires 10 origin point. 3 soul bone stripper stones require a total of 30 origin point. Do you want to exchange? Following Wang Kai's thought, the system's notification sounded. Of course. Wang Kai nodded. There was a burning look in his eyes. Soul bone stripper stones. This was what Wang Kai was relying on to boldly fuse soul bones. To other soul masters on the Dolua continent, once a soul bone fused, it was almost impossible to strip it away unless they died. If one really wanted to use brute force to strip it away, even a peak Dolua like Tang Hao would suffer irreversible damage. However, all of this wasn't a problem for Wang Kai. As long as he spent 10 origin points to exchange for a soul bone stripper stone, Wang Kai could easily strip away a fused soul bone without paying a painful price. This was also why he didn't worry about fusing with those low-level soul bones in the past. Exchange successful. Exchanging for 3 soul bone stripper stones. Cost: 30 origin points. Remaining: 7,087 origin points. Following the system's notification, 3 incomparably cold brown gems with all kinds of mysterious engravings appeared in Wang Kai's hands. Chapter 325. Rapid Advance Windchaser's Left Leg Bone, Peel It For Me. With a resolute look in his eyes, Wang Kai placed the 2 soul ring peeling stones back into the system space. Following which, he exerted a bit of strength in his right hand and crushed the soul ring peeling stone. Immediately, a brown stream of air gushed out from the crushed soul ring peeling stone and enveloped Wang Kai's body. Following which, the brown stream of air entered Wang Kai's body through his pores and flowed along Wang Kai's meridians towards Wang Kai's left leg. Pain, pain, pain. Not even 5 minutes later, an incomparably terrifying and unbearable pain enveloped Wang Kai's left leg. It was as if Wang Kai's left leg no longer belonged to him. At this moment, the Rapid Advance Windchaser's left leg bone, which had already fused with Wang Kai's left leg, was slowly being separated from Wang Kai's flesh by the brown stream of air. This process was rather violent and was also the reason why Wang Kai felt such pain. As time passed, the pain in Wang Kai's left leg became more and more intense. Wang Kai bit his lips and resisted the pain. The intense pain from his left leg caused Wang Kai's forehead and face to be covered in cold sweat. His back was also drenched in sweat, turning him into a waterman. I can't give up. I definitely can't give up. Both of Wang Kai's hands were tightly clenched into fists. The corners of his mouth twitched under the intense pain. Even his face seemed to be slightly distorted. Cold air continuously leaked out from between his teeth. It was clear that Wang Kai was currently enduring great pain. However, Wang Kai also knew that he absolutely could not give up at this moment. Otherwise, it would cause irreversible damage to his body. Hold on for me. Time passed by minute. Wang Kai's palm was already covered in purplish bruises. His face was also slightly red from the intense pain. In the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. Finally, Wang Kai felt that the pain in his left leg was no longer increasing. Instead, it was slowly decreasing. Finally, Wang Kai heaved a sigh of relief when he sensed that the pain had lessened. The most painful period of stripping his soul bone had passed. What he had to do next was wait for the soul bone in his body to be completely stripped. It was only a matter of time. Success! Another hour had passed. At this moment, the pain in Wang Kai's body had completely disappeared. A green light flew out of Wang's left leg bone and condensed into the shape of the Windchaser's left bone. Wang Kai's face revealed a satisfied expression. Good. This piece of trash soul bone has finally been removed. Now I can fuse with an even stronger soul bone. Although his body was a little weak because of the removal of the Windchaser's left leg bone, and even his physique had decreased, this was only a temporary decrease. As long as he fused with another 100,000-year soul bone, Wang Kai's strength would definitely increase greatly. As for the Windchaser's left leg bone that had been removed, Wang Kai didn't throw it away. Instead, he kept it properly. Although a 30,000-year soul bone was trash to Wang Kai, it was an unimaginable treasure to other soul masters. It could be used to reward subordinates or women to win people's hearts. System: exchange for 100,000-year Void Thunder Dragon left leg bone for me. First, he used Strength of the Continent to recover his physical strength and soul power. Then, Wang Kai continued to instruct the system. Exchange for 100,000-year Void Thunder Dragon left leg bone requires 550 points. Host has 7,087 points. Do you wish to exchange? Following Wang Kai's thoughts, the system's notification sounded in Wang Kai's ears. For a 10,000-year soul bone, it would normally cost a few 100,000 points, which was equivalent to a few dozen origin points. For a 100,000-year soul bone, it would cost a few million points, which was equivalent to a few hundred origin points. Of course, if it had been before entering the City of Massacres, exchanging for a soul bone like this would have cost Wang Kai a quarter of his points. However, after entering the City of Massacres and killing so many enemies, Wang Kai's points had reached 7,000 origin points. 550 origin points wasn't even a tenth of what he had. Naturally, he didn't hesitate to exchange for it. Ding! Successfully exchanged for a 100,000-year Void Thunder Dragon left leg bone. Absorbed 550 origin points. Remaining points: 6,537 origin points. The system's notification sounded, and a Void Thunder Dragon left leg bone appeared in Wang Kai's hands. This bone was about 60 centimeters long. It was completely silvery white, and its surface was extremely smooth. Faint silver lightning danced around it, revealing a faint dragon's aura. Compared to the 700,000-year Void Thunder Dragon right leg bone that Wang Kai had obtained before, this 100,000-year Void Thunder Dragon left leg bone was far inferior in terms of both energy and aura. However, it was still extremely valuable. It was at least 10 times stronger than the Windchaser left leg bone. Now, let me refine it. A streak of soul power wrapped around the Void Thunder Dragon left leg bone in his hands. Wang Kai impatiently circulated his soul power and began to refine it. As Wang Kai refined it, the Void Thunder Dragon left leg bone began to float in midair, and it emitted a faint silver light. However, this Void Thunder Dragon left leg bone didn't contain any remnant soul of the Void Thunder Dragon. Therefore, Wang Kai's refinement went smoothly. Very quickly, as Wang Kai refined it, the Void Thunder Dragon left leg bone in front of him began to vibrate slowly. It also formed a mysterious connection with Wang Kai. As Wang Kai's thoughts moved, the silver light around the Void Thunder Dragon left leg bone quickly spread in all directions. Finally, it enveloped Wang Kai's body in a layer of silver light. As the silver light enveloped him, Wang Kai only felt a clear and cold stream of air slowly flowing out from the Void Thunder Dragon left leg bone. After that, it traversed space and continuously flowed into Wang Kai's left leg. As the silver light continued to flow in, Wang Kai only felt that the connection between his left leg and the Void Thunder Dragon left leg bone in front of him was becoming closer and closer. The clear and cold stream of air continued to enter Wang Kai's body. After around 20 minutes, the void thunder dragon left leg bone in front of Wang Kai suddenly flashed several times. Then, it started to vibrate at a strange frequency. As the void thunder dragon left leg bone vibrated, the clear and cold stream of air that flowed into Wang Kai's body also became much stronger. As the cold stream of air passed through his body, Wang Kai also felt a numbing and itchy sensation. Not only that, but the cold stream of air wasn't just limited to Wang Kai's left leg. Instead, it flowed to every part of Wang Kai's body. Chapter 326. Fuse with me. Wang Kai crazily urged his soul power as he felt the cold currents appear all over his body. Streaks of soul power rushed around his body and absorbed the cold currents that entered his body. Then, he started to refine them. 1 streak, 2 streaks, countless streaks of cold currents were being refined by Wang Kai and turned into soul power and blood energy. They continuously entered his body and strengthened his physique and tendons. His physique, soul power density, and total amount of soul power continued to increase. As the refinement continued, the void thunder dragon's left leg bone also underwent a mysterious change. The originally solid bone slowly turned illusory. At the same time, its size also changed continuously. Finally, it became the same size and thickness as Wang Kai's left leg. Finally, all the cold currents that entered his body were completely refined by Wang Kai. At this moment, the void thunder dragon's left leg bone in front of Wang Kai let out a mysterious hum. Hum! 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 A total of 98 hums sounded. At this moment, the void thunder dragon's left leg bone in front of Wang Kai had completely turned illusory. Then, it crossed space and flew towards Wang Kai's left leg. It immediately fused with Wang Kai's left leg. At this moment, the cold currents that were about to disappear started to flood again. There were so many of them that they were several times more than the cold currents that he had refined before. After this terrifying cold entered his body, Wang Kai's blood seemed to flow much slower. His teeth also started to chatter because of the extreme cold. Hold on. Wang Kai had once endured the extreme cold of the right leg bone of a 700,000-year-old void thunder dragon. Facing this bone that was only a 100,000-year-old void thunder dragon's left leg bone, Wang Kai wasn't worried. However, as time passed, Wang Kai's body was still trembling because of the terrifying cold. The sweat on his body was also frozen into a layer of white frost that covered Wang Kai's body. Several hours later. Ding! Successfully fused with the left leg bone of a 100,000-year-old void thunder dragon. You have learned the skill Void Thunder Dragon. The system's notification finally sounded. Wang Kai also heaved a sigh of relief, as if a heavy burden had been lifted off his shoulders. Although this extreme cold wasn't fatal, it was still extremely uncomfortable. After 2 hours of freezing, Wang Kai's mouth was a little green. His body was covered in a layer of blue ice. This is great. I finally did it. Wang Kai shook his arms, shattering the ice shell covering his body. He stood up, his face brimming with satisfaction. The feeling of escaping the extreme cold was really too good. Then, let me see what my new skill. With that thought, Wang Kai's name was the Thunder Dragon's Dragon's skill. Thunder Dragon's Thunder Dragon. The Thunder Dragon's Dragon was an assault-type skill. After activating it, Wang Kai could transform into a bolt of void thunder. He could dash in front of his enemies and unleash lightning-type attacks on his enemies. This would cause a certain amount of damage and a temporary numbing effect. As for the Thunder Dragon's range and attack power, it was related to the amount of soul power that was injected into it. Apart from that, Wang Kai's speed would be increased by 20% after using the Thunder Dragon's Dragon. This effect would last for half a minute. This skill's effects overlapped with the Azura Instant Hell Shadow Stab, but the range of its effects was greater. Wang Kai wasn't very satisfied with this. However, After replacing the Windchaser's left leg bone with the Void Thunder Dragon's left leg bone, Wang Kai's attributes received a substantial boost. Compared to before, all of his attributes had increased by almost 10%. His soul power's crystallization had also reached 18%. Not bad. Let's continue. With that thought, Wang Kai took out a new soul bone peeling stone. This time, he wanted to peel off the Blackrock Emperor Snake's right arm bone. He exerted some force with his right hand and crushed the soul bone peeling stone. Brown fog entered his body. Wang Kai did the same. He peeled off the Blackrock Emperor Snake's right arm bone from his right arm and kept it properly. With the experience of peeling off the Windchaser's left leg bone, Wang Kai was more prepared for the pain of peeling off a soul bone. As a result, the process of peeling off the Blackrock Emperor Snake's right arm bone was much smoother than the previous time. System, give me another 100,000-year Void Thunder Dragon's right arm bone. Wang Kai activated the continent's strength to recover the stamina and soul power he had lost during the process of stripping the soul bone. He then continued to instruct the system. Exchanging for 100,000-year Void Thunder Dragon's left leg bone requires 550 points. You have 6,537 points. Do you want to exchange? As Wang Kai muttered, the system's notification rang in Wang Kai's ears. Of course. Although Wang Kai felt a slight pain in his heart, he had already made up his mind to convert his points into strength. Wang Kai did not hesitate at all. If he did not use his points, they would just be pointless points. Only by converting them into strength would they be tangible things. Ding! You have successfully exchanged for 100,000-year Void Thunder Dragon's right arm bone. You have 5,987 points left. As the system's notification rang, a 40-centimeter-long arm bone appeared in front of Wang Kai. It radiated a faint dragon's aura and had silver lightning dancing on its surface. Very good. Fuse with it. As he looked at the Void Thunder Dragon's right arm bone, Wang Kai's eyes were burning with passion. After that, he sat down cross-legged and activated his soul power. Several hours later. Ding! You have successfully fused with the 100,000-year Void Thunder Dragon's right arm bone. You have comprehended the skill Void Thunder Dragon's Divine Claw. After the fusion, the system's notification rang in Wang Kai's ears again. All of Wang Kai's attributes had increased by nearly 10%, and his soul skill's crystallization had reached 19%. Void Thunder Dragon's Divine Claw. What a domineering skill. Let me see its effects. As Wang Kai muttered, information about the Void Thunder Dragon's Divine Claw suddenly appeared in Wang Kai's mind. The Void Thunder Dragon's Divine Claw was a powerful physical attack. It condensed soul power on the right arm and transformed into the Void Thunder Dragon's Divine Claw before attacking the enemy. Because of the nature of the Void Thunder Dragon, unless the opponent was a demigod creature with divinity, their defensive energy would be ineffective. They could only use their physical strength to resist. Other than that, the Void Thunder Dragon's Divine Claw also had a certain degree of control ability. After hitting the enemy, the powerful lightning would paralyze the enemy's body and make it difficult for them to move. Even if a titled Dolo was hit, their mobility would be greatly affected. Not bad. Looking at his new skill, Wang Kai nodded in satisfaction. What Wang Kai needed to do next was to strip the Skull of Wisdom. Chapter 327. However, even though Wang Kai planned to peel off the Skull of Wisdom, this Skull of Wisdom had fused directly with Wang Kai's head. Hence, it was definitely more dangerous and difficult to peel it off successfully compared to the previous two soul bones. Wang Kai needed to be energetic and focused. However, Wang Kai wasn't very energetic right now. Peeling off soul bones was a very taxing task. Wang Kai had already peeled off 2 soul bones earlier, which drained a lot of Wang Kai's spiritual power. Apart from that, Wang Kai had also upgraded several soul rings before peeling off the soul bones. This made Wang Kai very tired right now. Hence, Wang Kai planned to take a good rest and play an elegant, interesting, and exciting multiplayer game to eliminate his mental fatigue and ensure that he could peel off the skull of wisdom without any mistake. Xian or Mo Shu, come over quickly. Didn't the two of you pester me the last time after the game, saying that you didn't have enough fun? I have time again today. Let's continue playing this interesting game then. Smiling, Wang Kai stood up and called out to the two devastatingly beautiful girls in the small plane with a bright smile on his face. Yes, elder brother. Wang Xian, who was dressed in a white, transparent dress, answered as she walked over gracefully. She was graceful and ethereal, which made people fall in love with her. I'm here, father. On the other side, Mo Shu, who was wearing a black student uniform and a short skirt, also ran over to Wang Kai. She lifted her delicate and adorable face and stared at Wang Kai. Her eyes were filled with adoration. All right, the two of you are my good babies. Xian Mo Shu, which one of you wants to play with me first later? Wang Kai smiled and stroked the two girls' smooth foreheads as he asked. Elder brother, let me go first. Wang Xian hugged Wang Kai's arm and said eagerly. No, Dad, play with me first. While glaring at Wang Xian, Mo Shu clung to Wang Kai and spoke coquettishly. Mo Shu, I'm your big sister. I think you should still listen to your big sister's words, right? Wang Xian smiled faintly when she saw Mo Shu's expression. Elder sister Xian, as an elder sister, shouldn't you be modest and give way to your younger sister? Mo Shu also looked at Wang Xian and questioned her with equal harshness. All right, everyone stop arguing. How about this, each of you throw the dice once, and I'll play with whoever gets the highest number. How about that? Wang Kai helplessly scratched his head as he looked at the two women who were not willing to back down. He took out 2 dice and handed them to the 2 women. All right. Mo Shu and Wang Xian looked at each other and nodded in agreement. Remember, it's a fair competition. Both of you are not allowed to use your abilities. I will supervise both of you. If anyone cheats, it'll be considered as admitting defeat. Wang Kai added. At this moment, Mo Shu and Wang Xian made their moves and threw the dice. 4 points. Elder sister Xian, what about you? Mo Shu said faintly as she looked at the dice in front of her. I'm sorry, little sister Ma Shu. I threw a 5. Looks like you have to wait for me and elder brother to play first. Wang Xian looked at Mo Shu provocatively. Then, she smiled and walked to Wang Kai to undress. 10 hours later. After accompanying Wang Xian and Mo Shu to play a wonderful game of creating happiness, Wang Kai stood up from the bed in high spirits. He swept up a stream of water elements to wash off the stains and bloodstains on his body. Then, he strode to the dimensional furnace and started to peel the skull of wisdom, which was condensed by the mind, in high spirits. On the other side, after playing with Wang Kai, Mo Shu and Wang Xian were exhausted as they slept on the big bed. Their bodies were sore and numb, but without exception, their faces were brimming with happiness. Clearly, they had enjoyed the process of playing with Wang Kai. Of course, Wang Kai also enjoyed the game with the 2 women, especially Wang Xian, because her body was condensed by the power of the small dimension. Even though Wang Kai had played with her once, she could still give Wang Kai the most perfect, blissful, and unique gaming experience. When he came to the side of the dimensional furnace, Wang Kai didn't start to peel the soul bone immediately. Instead, he plucked a few natural treasures, crushed them into powder, and swallowed them. Even though he had become a soul sage, Wang Kai wasn't confident that he could perfectly peel the skull of wisdom. Therefore, in order to ensure that he could peel the soul bone at the head without any mistakes, Wang Kai made a special medicine that could reduce pain, replenish blood, and stabilize spiritual power. This helped Wang Kai better peel the skull of wisdom. After consuming the medicinal powder, Wang Kai felt a warm current appear all over his body as it protected him. Soon after, he sat down cross-legged, held his breath and focused his mind. He got rid of all distracting thoughts and took out the last piece of soul bone, stripping stone, and crushed it with a single pinch. The brown stream of energy gushed out and flowed along his meridians towards Wang Kai's brain. Suddenly, Wang Kai felt a splitting headache and his sea of consciousness was roiling madly. Fortunately, there were countless heavy hammers pounding on Wang Kai's head, causing him endless pain. Hold on! Hold on! Faced with such a feeling, Wang Kai had no other choice. He could only condense his spiritual power and resist crazily. Fortunately, the medicine that Wang Kai had consumed earlier also took effect at this time. It reduced Wang Kai's pain and calmed Wang Kai's mind so that he wouldn't faint from the pain. 2 hours later. Finally, it's finally over. Wang Kai heaved a sigh of relief as he looked at the skull of wisdom, which gave off a faint purple light. He stretched out his hand and rubbed his temples. Compared to peeling off his right arm and left leg, peeling off the skull brought more than twice as much pain to Wang Kai. Even with the help of the powerful medicine, Wang Kai almost fainted. Fortunately, Emperor Shura's spiritual power was not to be trifled with. This allowed Wang Kai to successfully peel off the skull of wisdom. After peeling off the skull of wisdom, Wang Kai was not only exhausted, but his mind was also in pain. His spiritual power realm and the liquefaction of his spiritual power had also decreased. Wang Kai wasn't too worried about this. As long as he fused with the Void Lightning Dragon Skull, not only would his spiritual power realm recover, but it would also reach a new level. Chapter 328. After stripping the Skull of Wisdom, everything that followed was very easy. Wang Kai entered the system store and spent 825 origin points to purchase a Void Lightning Dragon Skull. After that, he used his soul power to fuse with it. Several hours later, the fusion was completed. Without a doubt, it was a very smooth process. Compared to before the fusion, Wang Kai's spiritual power had not only made up for the loss of the soul bone, but it had also surpassed his spiritual power. He was now able to do 33 things at once. Not only that, but after fusing with the Void Lightning Dragon Skull, Wang Kai's spiritual force had finally completed the liquefaction process. Now, all of the spiritual force in Wang Kai's sea of consciousness had changed from a loose gaseous state to a faint blood-red liquid state, and it had begun to progress towards a higher level of spiritual force crystallization. After fusing with the Void Lightning Dragon Skull, Wang Kai also obtained a new skill from the Soul Bone, the Void Dragon Roar. The Void Dragon Roar was an area of effect skill. It consumed soul power and spiritual power to attack all enemies within its range. At the same time, it exerted dragon's might. This soul skill was a fusion of spiritual and physical attack. It was very powerful and very strange. It was very difficult to defend against. Apart from that, the Void Lightning Dragon Skull also gave Wang Kai a strong additional spiritual resistance. Wang Kai's spiritual resistance was already very strong because of Emperor Shura's martial soul. With the additional support from the Soul Bone, even Sendoria's spiritual pressure might not be able to affect Wang Kai. After fusing with the Void Lightning Dragon Skull, it was time to fuse with the left arm bone. After spending another 550 points, a Void Lightning Dragon left leg bone appeared in Wang Kai's hands. Compared to the previous 3 soul bones, the fusion process for this Void Lightning Dragon left leg bone was a lot easier. After all, there was no need to go through the painful process of stripping the soul bone before the fusion. After several hours, the fusion was successful. At this point, Wang Kai was only left with the last torso bone. This left leg bone gave Wang Kai a skill, the Great Void Divine Lightning Slash. This was a powerful single-target attack. By condensing Great Void Divine Lightning to form a light blade, it would slash at a specific target. It had a self-guided function and sliced through everything in its path. When it reached the target, it would even explode. It was very powerful. Following this, Wang Kai fused with the last Void Lightning Dragon Bone. At this point, Wang Kai was very excited. Once he fused with this soul bone, Wang Kai would be able to complete the Void Lightning Dragon soul bone set, and his abilities would reach a new level. As the core of the Void Thunder Dragon soul bone set, the Void Thunder Dragon torso bone was even more expensive, reaching a price of 1,100 origin points. After exchanging for it, Wang Kai's points had reached 3512, which was half of what he had before. However, when he thought about the effects of these soul bones, Wang Kai felt that these points were worth it. Fuse with it. Looking at the 1.2-meter-long Void Lightning Dragon bone in his hands, Wang Kai's eyes burned with passion. Then, he used his soul power to envelop the bone and began the long process of refining it. Another few hours passed. Haha, I did it! Standing up and shattering the layer of ice covering his body, Wang Kai's face revealed a joyful expression as he laughed heartily. At this point, Wang Kai had already successfully fused with the Void Lightning Dragon's skeleton. Not only that, but after gathering all 6 Void Lightning Dragon soul bones, these 6 soul bones also formed a mysterious connection with each other. They became a complete set of Void Lightning Dragon soul bones. After fusing with the Void Lightning Dragon bone, it gave Wang Kai a powerful skill, the Void Lightning Dragon's Fury. The Void Lightning Dragon's Fury. Once activated, the Void Lightning Dragon's blood would boil and greatly increase all of Wang Kai's attributes. It would also increase the power of the Void Lightning Dragon soul bone set. It would last for 30 minutes. Not only that, this skill didn't cost anything. However, after activating the Void Lightning Dragon's Fury, there would be a cooldown of 3 days. As for the Void Lightning Dragon soul bone set, it gave Wang Kai 2 skills after it was formed. The first was the Void Lightning Domain, and the second was the Void Lightning Dragon Transformation. As the name suggested, the Void Lightning Domain was an extremely powerful domain-type skill. After activating it, it would form a domain that was filled with void lightning around him. It would cause electric shocks to enemies within the domain, inflicting damage and slowing effects. This was also Wang Kai's second domain-type skill after the Earth domain. As for the Void Lightning Dragon Transformation, it was an even more heaven-defying skill. After activating it, Wang Kai would transform into a Void Lightning Dragon. During this transformation, he would obtain a portion of the 100,000-year-old Void Lightning Dragon's constitution and abilities. The Void Lightning Dragon was a top-tier soul beast like the Titan Giant Ape and the Sky Azure Bull Python. For a 100,000-year-old Void Lightning Dragon, it was comparable to a pinnacle Dolua. Even though the Void Lightning Dragon transformation only gave him a portion of the Void Lightning Dragon's constitution and abilities, it was enough to make Wang Kai comparable to a titled Dolua. It could become Wang Kai's greatest trump card. Furthermore, the Void Lightning Dragon transformation was similar to the Void Lightning Dragon's Fury. It was a skill that came with the Void Lightning Dragon soul bone set. It didn't cost Wang Kai any soul power to activate, but it could only last for 15 minutes. It also took 2 weeks to recharge, so it couldn't be used regularly. Very good. Even if I encounter a titled Dolua in the future, I'll be able to put up a fight. Even though the Void Lightning Dragon transformation had an extremely long cooldown, Wang Kai was still very satisfied with it. After all, after obtaining the Void Lightning Dragon soul bone set, Wang Kai truly had a chance of defeating a titled Dolua. Furthermore, after forming the Void Lightning Dragon soul bone set, Wang Kai's attributes were enhanced once again. They were increased by close to 30%, and his soul power's crystallization level had also increased to 27%. Of course, even though he had gathered 6 soul bones for the Void Lightning Dragon soul bone set, it still wasn't complete. In fact, even though the Void Lightning Dragon soul bone set was already complete, it still wasn't complete. As the Void Lightning Dragon soul bone set, the last 2 parts were the Void Lightning Dragon wings and the Void Lightning Dragon tail. If he could gather them, he would be able to truly recreate the Void Lightning Dragon's might, and unlock the Void Lightning Dragon transformation's greater strength. However, it was still a little too early for Wang Kai to gather the Void Lightning Dragon Wings and the Void Lightning Dragon Tail. After all, they were external soul bones, and each one was worth 5,500 origin points. This was beyond what Wang Kai could afford. However, Wang Kai firmly believed that as long as he continued to become stronger, he would be able to gather the complete Void Lightning Dragon Soul Bone set one day. Chapter 329. Wang Kai returned to the endless slaughter and battles after he completed his breakthrough to become a Soul Sage. However, Wang Kai would usually take 3 to 4 days to find a match for him. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. After a month of fighting and killing, Wang Kai successfully broke through the bottleneck of a rank 71 Soul Sage and became a rank 72 Soul Sage. However, after becoming a Soul Sage, the amount of experience that Wang Kai needed to advance in order to become a Soul Sage had also increased. If Wang Kai wanted to become a rank 73 Soul Sage, he would need 1,000,000 points of origin experience. Even though he had worked hard for an entire month, Wang Kai's experience bar had only been filled by a little more than half. After a month, Wang Kai successfully won 49 matches. This time, Wang Kai was going to welcome his 50th match. However, compared to the previous matches, the waiting time for this match was much longer. Of course, in this 1 month, because of Xian Er's appearance, Wang Kai's strength had also increased by an extremely obvious amount. After the system's elementary intelligence, Xiao Guang, was upgraded, Wang Xian Er's computational abilities had increased tremendously. She only took a week to complete the task that Wang Kai gave her to deduce the 9th level of the Taishian Star's Heavenly Forging Divine Technique. She was extremely fast. After obtaining the 9th level of the Taishian Star's Heavenly Forging Divine Technique, Wang Kai couldn't wait to cultivate it. Compared to the 8th level of the technique, the 9th level of the Taishian Star's Heavenly Forging Divine Technique required the creation of a soul power whirlpool in one's brain. It was the most dangerous of all the 9 levels of the technique. However, while it was very difficult for ordinary soul masters, it wasn't a problem for Wang Kai, who was a genius and had Wang Xian Er's help. On his first attempt, Wang Kai had already successfully condensed his 9th soul vortex and successfully cultivated the 9th level of the Great Arcane Star Heavenly Suppressing Soul Refining Divine Art. As the saying goes, the greater the danger, the greater the opportunity. After reaching the 9th level of the cultivation technique, Wang Kai would gain close to 5,000 experience points every time he cultivated. It could be said to be extremely generous. At the same time, Wang Xian also brought Wang Kai another piece of good news. The 9th level of the Taishian Star's Heavenly Forging Divine Technique wasn't the end of the technique. Wang Xian could still deduce the 10th level of the technique. The effect of this was to solidify the soul power whirlpool in Wang Kai's body. If Wang Kai could successfully solidify his soul power whirlpool, this meant that Wang Kai didn't need to spend time and energy on his own when he cultivated. He could cultivate all the time, and the experience he gained every day would be greatly increased. He could also save a lot of time on cultivation. This wasn't the only effect of the 10th level of the technique. After the soul power whirlpool solidified, the solidified soul power whirlpool would constantly absorb soul power and increase the recovery speed of Wang Kai's soul power. It could also help Wang Kai compress his soul power, allowing Wang Kai's soul power to achieve the crystallization process faster. Of course, Wang Xian Er's current analysis of the world wasn't enough. If she wanted to deduce the 10th level of the Taishian Star's Heavenly Forging Divine Technique, she would need an astronomical amount of time. If Wang Kai wanted to deduce the technique in an acceptable amount of time, he had to let Wang Xian use her computing power to analyze the laws of the world. She had to completely analyze the laws of the world in the Dolua continent. However, Wang Kai wasn't in a hurry to let Wang Xian analyze the laws of the world. Before that, he let Wang Xian use her computing power to help him deduce and perfect his self-created soul skills. Therefore, Wang Kai's self-created soul skills had been greatly upgraded in this month. Wang Kai's boundless blood spear technique and fatal 7 kills sword had been improved to 81 forms. Shura's heaven-opening claw and spiritual wanderer steps had also been greatly improved. On the other side, while Wang Kai was dominating the slaughterhouse, Quan Long was also undergoing a transformation in the King of Massacre's mansion. That day, after agreeing to Sha Ji's request, he followed her to the King of Massacre's mansion. After that, the King of Massacre personally resolved the problem of his murderous aura. Furthermore, he used his own power to transform Quan Long's body so that he could temporarily take on the King of Massacre's strength when he fought. Of course, this transformation process wasn't completed overnight. However, after a month, Quan Long's body was finally transformed. After injecting his own power into Quan Long's body, the King of Massacre also ordered the slaughterhouse to arrange a duel between Wang Kai and Quan Long. Great King, can Quan Long win? Looking at the King of Massacre in front of her, Sha Ji's tone revealed a trace of uncertainty as she asked. After being transformed by my power, Quan Long's physical strength and blood energy have reached the level of a titled Dolu. Logically speaking, he should be able to kill Wang Kai. However, as he spoke until here, a tinge of worry appeared in the King of Massacre's eyes. However, he didn't finish his sentence. He only sighed silently. Yes, logically speaking, Quan Long should be able to kill Wang Kai. However, he had a feeling in his heart that Quan Long would lose. The capital of Massacre, the slaughterhouse. After receiving the notification of the 50th duel, Wang Kai arrived at the slaughterhouse in high spirits. Following that, the 9 contestants appeared one after another. Look, it's the hell demon Wang Kai. Today, he's going to show off his massacre again. That's not necessarily true. Look, the golden spear demon Quan Long is here too. Wang Kai and Quan Long, 2 of the most powerful individuals in the capital of Massacre, actually appeared in this duel. It seems like this is going to be a fierce battle. As they looked at the contestants on the stage, the audience's enthusiasm was instantly ignited. They whispered to each other and discussed animatedly. They were looking forward to this exciting duel. At this moment, Wang Kai also turned his gaze to Quan Long. This was Quan Long, a rank 87 Soul Dolois, who had won 67 duels. Other than Wang Kai, he was the most powerful person in the capital of Massacre. He was a muscular man with a bare upper body. He was about 2 meters tall, and his figure was tall and straight. His entire body was filled with muscles. His face was very resolute, and his large eyes revealed a frightening murderous aura. Ordinary people would tremble in fear if they saw him. His aura was also very sharp, as if it could pierce through everything. As Wang Kai scanned Quan Long also scanned Wang Kai. After becoming a soul sage, Wang Kai's aura had become more restrained. Quan Long couldn't see through it. As a result, Quan Long was very wary of Wang Kai. Chapter 330. Unlike Quan Long, Wang Kai had the system's eye of detection. To Wang Kai, there was no problem that he couldn't see through Quan Long. Not only that, but Wang Kai also discovered the energy that the King of Massacre had injected into Quan Long's body with the help of the eye of detection. No, there's definitely something strange about Quan Long. There's actually a strange energy in his body. Could it be that the city of Massacre doesn't want me to win, so it persuaded Quan Long to increase his strength so that he can come and kill me? After sensing the strange energy in Quan Long's body, Wang Kai's mind was filled with many thoughts. He quickly guessed the cause and effect. Yes, Wang Kai didn't think that he had any enmity with Quan Long. Furthermore, if Wang Kai won this match, he would have won 50 matches. According to the rules of the slaughterhouse, 2 soul masters who had won 50 matches or more wouldn't meet each other. In that case, why did he happen to meet Quan Long in the 50th match? Why did Quan Long have such a strong and evil strange energy in his body? It was very simple. There was only one reason. The King of Massacre in the City of Massacre had made his move. He wanted to use Quan Long to end his life. However, Wang Kai wasn't afraid of Quan Long, even if he had received the support of the King of Massacre's strange energy. If Wang Kai's physical strength was similar to Quan Long's before he became a soul sage, Quan Long would have had a chance to kill Wang Kai if he had received the help of the King of Massacre. However, it was already too late for the King of Massacre to make his move now. After becoming a soul sage, Wang Kai had also fused with his fourth god martial soul, and his soul rings and soul bones had been greatly upgraded. Compared to before he had become a soul sage, Wang Kai was more than 5 times stronger. Even now, Wang Kai wasn't afraid of Quan Long even though he had the help of the King of Massacre. Only the weak would be afraid. After becoming a soul sage, Wang Kai already possessed the ability to fight against a titled Doluo. Even though Wang Kai's abilities hadn't completely entered the ranks of titled Doluo, he was no longer considered a weakling. Contestants, release your martial spirits. Seeing that all 10 contestants had arrived, the judge quietly announced, 8 treasure golden dragon spear. Hearing the referee's voice, Quan Long immediately circulated his soul force. A golden spear appeared in his hand. The spear was 2.5 meters long, and there were 8 5-clawed golden dragons engraved on the spear shaft. The tip of the spear was extremely sharp, and it flickered with an unstoppable radiance. After releasing his martial spirits, Quan Long looked at Wang Kai with a provocative gaze. Emperor Shura's possession. Wang Kai smiled as he looked at Quan Long in the distance. He circulated his soul force, and Shura's scales appeared on the surface of his body. His claws lengthened into Shura's claws, and his eyes were filled with fighting spirit as he looked at Quan Long in the distance. This time, Wang Kai didn't use his 9 Heavens soul-destroying sword. Against weaklings, the 9 Heavens soul-destroying sword could kill them gracefully. However, against someone as strong as Quan Long, using his body as a weapon was the best way to win. As for the other 8 competitors, they all released their martial spirits. Even though they knew that they were going to be killed, they still released their martial spirits out of their dignity as soul masters. If they were in the outside world, these soul masters wouldn't be considered top-tier soul masters, but they were soul kings and even soul emperors, so they could be considered upper-class soul masters. They could become low-class or even middle-class nobles in the empire. However, compared to their opponents in the slaughterhouse, Wang Kai and Quan Long, the other soul masters' martial spirits were like fireflies. They couldn't compete at all. Quan Long, I don't know why you're courting death. You chose to fight me in the slaughterhouse, and I don't know how many benefits Massacre City has promised you. However, I want to say that no matter how great the benefits Massacre City has promised you, you can only obtain them if you're alive. Quan Long, since you've chosen to fight me today, you should be prepared to be killed by me. You'll become a resource for my evolution. Wang Kai coldly said as he waved a pair of sharp blood-red claws in front of him, emitting an ear-piercing sound as they tore through the air. Humph, sharp-tongued brat, you want to kill me? You're still too inexperienced. Today, I'll end your life with my own hands, and your head will become the stepping stone for me to become the champion of the slaughterhouse. Kiki. Quan Long waved the 8-treasure golden dragon spear in his hand, and a golden spear light swept through the air. The muscles all over his body bulged as he spoke tit for tat. There's no point in talking anymore, we can only fight. Quan Long, before we fight, let's get rid of those 8 bugs first. They'll be the appetizers for our battle before we fight. How about it? When the battle started, Wang Kai didn't beat around the bush. He looked at Quan Long and said indifferently, "All right. Let's just warm up first, so that these trash won't hinder our battle." Quan Long nodded slightly, and his words immediately sentenced the other 8 soul masters to death. In a flash, Wang Kai and Quan Long's bodies turned into faint afterimages. Following that, the bodies of the 4 soul masters near Wang Kai were directly torn in half. Blood, organs, flesh, and intestines flowed out from the wounds. On the other side, Quan Long didn't want to be outdone. His body flashed behind his enemies, and his hands were like lightning. The 8-treasure golden dragon spear left a hole as thick as a bowl in the chests of the 4 soul masters. Following that, the 4 corpses fell to the ground with a plop. It's much quieter now. Wang Kai, now go to hell. Quan Long's lips curled up into a bloodthirsty and cruel smile. He laughed sinisterly, and the soles of his feet stomped on the ground. His body turned into a black line, and like a huge truck, he charged straight at Wang Kai. Good timing! Wang Kai coldly looked at Quan Long, who was charging at him with a powerful aura. He quickly raised his arm and shouted angrily. Wang Kai shouted angrily, and Wang Kai also swung his claws forward. A powerful attack heavily struck at Quan Long's body. Seeing Wang Kai make a move, Quan Long didn't panic. He swept his spear forward and heavily collided with Wang Kai. Bang! Following a muffled sound, Quan Long and Wang Kai's bodies flew backwards. Wang Kai's body took 3 steps back before he could stabilize himself. He had a serious look on his face. Quan Long, on the other hand, had retreated a few steps after this collision. His feet were firmly gripping the ground, and he was barely able to stop himself after tearing a 2-meter-long shallow trench in the ground. At this moment, the bloodthirsty smile on Quan Long's face froze slightly. The gaze he used to look at Wang Kai contained less disdain and more seriousness. Chapter 331. Oh my God, I can't believe my eyes! Quan Long is actually no match for Wang Kai? It's really hard to believe. Quan Long is a super expert who has dominated the infernal slaughterhouse for several years, and Wang Kai is just a newcomer who has only been in the slaughterhouse for half a year. I really can't believe that Quan Long is actually no match for Wang Kai. Yeah, but this is just a test between the two of them. It's better not to jump to conclusions. Quan Long might not have used his full strength. At this moment, all the spectators were staring intently at the battle in the infernal slaughterhouse. When they saw the first confrontation between Wang Kai and Quan Long, most of the spectators' eyes flashed with disbelief. Kid, you really do have some skills. If it was a month ago, I might really not be your match. Unfortunately, the current me has been reborn. A dignified look appeared on Quan Long's rough face. He slowly exhaled, and his fist suddenly pounded on his chest, making a muffled sound. Along with the muffled sound of the pounding on his chest, the muscles all over Quan Long's body swelled up again. A layer of blood color surged on his bronze skin, and his body was covered by a layer of faint blood energy. The soles of his feet stomped on the ground again. This time, Quan Long's speed was clearly faster than before. The violent speed brought about a wind pressure, and instantly formed a gust of wind in the infernal slaughterhouse, blowing up the spectators' clothes. Borrowing the power of others, you're not considered a strong expert. Shura Emperor Body. With a cold shout, Wang Kai also activated Emperor Shura's body with a thought. Suddenly, Wang Kai's heart began to pulse wildly. Shura's blood, which contained boundless energy, gushed out from Wang Kai's heart and entered Wang Kai's body. It then flowed along his blood vessels to all parts of his body. As Shura's blood spread, Wang Kai also felt that his strength and speed had increased by another level. A layer of faint blood light also appeared on his body, and the Shura's claw on his hand suddenly grew. His aura was also increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Winner takes all. Kid, as long as I kill you, so what if I borrow the power of others? At this moment, Quan Long also laughed coldly. His figure had already reached Wang Kai's side, and then he stabbed with his spear. Good, take this. Looking at the 8-treasure golden dragon spear calmly, Wang Kai did not panic. He activated his rippling god's wanderer steps, and his body swayed slightly. Like an agile loach, he spun at an angle. Quan Long's sharp 8-treasure golden dragon spear carried a ferocious force as it flew past Wang Kai's body. It stabbed into the ground and a long crack appeared. Quan Long's attack did not hit Wang Kai, and at this moment, he slightly lost his center of gravity. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Wang Kai also circled behind Quan Long like a ghost. He activated the power of blood in his body and poured it into his claws. Shura's heaven-splitting claws. Shura's claws flashed with a strange blood light. Then, the claws, which contained a frightening amount of blood energy, crossed space and viciously clawed at Quan Long's back. Rip! If a normal soul master had been hit by such a powerful attack, he would have been torn in half. He couldn't be more dead. However, Quan Long was a rank 87 soul Dolois after all. His body was very strong. Not only that, but his body had also been modified by the King of Massacre, and had become even stronger. This was why he was able to survive Wang Kai's attack. Even though he was not killed, Quan Long was still severely injured by Wang Kai's Shura's heaven-splitting claws. 10 bloody claw marks appeared on his back that was full of muscles. They were so deep that his bones could be seen. At the same time, Du Tao's face turned pale in an instant. His internal organs churned violently, and a mouthful of black blood suddenly spurted out. Damn it! Wang Kai, how dare you hurt me? This is unforgivable. Even though he was injured by Wang Kai, Du Tao did not retreat. Instead, his blood was stimulated. He stuck out his tongue and licked the blood at the corner of his mouth. His eyes turned blood-red, and the power of the King of Massacre in his body was unleashed to its greatest extent. Humph, what a coward! Come at me if you can. Wang Kai felt the power in Du Tao's body grow stronger by the day. He was also very focused. However, he still used a mocking tone to infuriate Du Tao. Die, you little thief! Quan Long's blood-red eyes revealed a look of viciousness like a hungry wolf. He laughed sinisterly and stomped his feet on the ground. Bang! Along with the ear-piercing sound of an energy explosion, Quan Long's figure turned into a bloody shadow and shot out like an arrow towards Wang Kai. His speed was so fast that the surrounding audience couldn't help but cry out in surprise. And at the place where Quan Long's feet were off the ground, there was also a 5-centimeter deep hole. This is the funniest joke I've ever heard. Quan Long, you're the one who's going to die. Wang Kai also pushed Emperor Shura's body to its limits as he looked at Du Tao. His heart beat faster and faster. Shura's blood was pumped out from his heart. Wang Kai's body also became stronger and stronger. His battle awareness also became clearer and clearer. Every move he made was as smooth as flowing water. It was like he was dancing, and it was filled with the rhythm of the great Tao. Wang Kai and Quan Long's figures crossed each other in midair. Quan Long's arms were also madly exerting strength. The muscles on his arms bulged, and the 8-treasure golden dragon spear in his hand swept towards Wang Kai. Wang Kai gritted his teeth when he saw Quan Long's actions. He focused his soul power and blood energy on his claws and viciously clawed at Quan Long. Bang! The 8-treasure golden dragon spear in Quan Long's hand viciously smashed into Wang Kai's ribs. A loud collision sound rang out, and Wang Kai's Shura scales were shattered. The flesh and blood under the Shura scales were also badly mangled. Wang Kai couldn't help but groan. However, Wang Kai's claws also tore at Quan Long's chest at the same time. Unlike the back, the front of a human's body was usually more fragile. Therefore, Wang Kai's attack directly tore a long gash in Du Tao's chest. Blood spurted out wildly, even revealing the organs that were still pulsating inside. No! Quan Long's body fell heavily to the ground after being severely injured. He spat out several mouthfuls of blood mixed with pieces of his organs. His face was completely pale, and the corners of his mouth twitched due to the intense pain. There was despair in his eyes. It's over, Quan Long. There's a path to heaven, but you don't want to walk it. There's no door to hell, but you insist on walking it. Quan Long, since you're courting death, then please obediently become my resources for evolution. Wang Kai's eyes flashed with a scorching light. His claws flashed with blood-red light as he prepared to unleash his final attack. Chapter 332. What a piece of trash! In the main palace of the King of Massacre's mansion, the King of Massacre cursed angrily when he sensed Quan Long's condition. The blood-red flames in his eyes surged. However, it's a good thing that I have a backup plan. Quan Long, lend me your useless body for the time being. Following the King of Massacre's whisper, Quan Long's body suddenly trembled in the faraway Hell slaughterhouse. A strange look flashed in his eyes. Following that, the blood-red light around his body suddenly surged. What was even more strange was that under the cover of the blood-red light, the wounds on Quan Long's chest and back suddenly began to heal rapidly. This is... Looking at Quan Long in front of him, Wang Kai's eyes revealed a trace of bewilderment. However, it was better to take his life while he was sick. No matter what had happened to Quan Long's body, as long as he killed him before he recovered, there would be no problems. Unfortunately, Wang Kai's plan was very good. However, when the blood-red Shura's heaven-splitting claw shot towards Quan Long's body, Quan Long's injuries had already recovered by more than half. Then, he waved his hands in front of him, and blood-red energy condensed in front of him, forming a solid blood-red shield. Bang! The blood-red Shura's heaven-splitting claw collided with the blood-red shield in front of Quan Long, and then there was a violent explosion. The blood-red energy collided with each other and spread into a thick cloud of blood fog. Strong energy waves spread in all directions, bringing about a terrifying shock wave that swept through the entire Hell slaughterhouse. However, it's still a step too late. The spectators might not be able to see the battle situation through the blood fog, but Wang Kai was different. Through his mental strength, Wang Kai could sense that in the previous attack, the blood-red shield in front of Quan Long had only fluctuated violently, but it was not destroyed. Therefore, Wang Kai could easily conclude that Quan Long had not been killed by his previous attack. As expected, a human figure broke through the air from within the blood-colored smoke. The surface of his body emitted a dense baleful aura, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Needless to say, it was Quan Long. Wang Kai looked at Quan Long's body. Not only was he not injured in the explosion, the severe wounds on his chest and back had miraculously healed, without even leaving a scar. Kill! This time, Quan Long, who was controlled by the King of Massacre, did not say anything. He only let out a hoarse roar, causing the audience to tremble in fear. Then, with a boundless killing intent in his eyes, he stomped on the ground and turned into an extremely fast blood arrow, crazily rushing towards Wang Kai. Good timing. Looking at Quan Long, whose strength had greatly increased, the casual and disdainful expression in Wang Kai's eyes completely disappeared, leaving behind an extremely solemn and serious expression. Then, Wang Kai also crazily activated the power of Shura's bloodline and Emperor Shura's body to meet Quan Long's attack with all his might. Bang! Spear and claw collided, but this time, Quan Long did not move at all. Instead, it was Wang Kai who was sent flying a few steps back, creating a 1-meter-long trench in the ground before he barely managed to stop himself. Not only that, Wang Kai only felt a slight numbness in his arm, and his internal organs were also shaken a little. What great strength! However, how did he become so strong? Looking at Quan Long, Wang Kai sighed in his heart, but he was also very confused. From an outsider's perspective, Wang Kai's doubts were very easy to answer. The King of Massacre had injected the true strength of a titled Dolua into Quan Long, and Wang Kai's current strength was still slightly inferior to a true titled Dolu. However, for Quan Long, his cultivation level was too low, and he couldn't unleash the strength of a titled Dolu. Secondly, this strength wasn't something that he had painstakingly cultivated, and he couldn't control this external strength. This was why he was suppressed by Wang Kai in battle. However, all of this changed when the King of Massacre possessed Huiyuhao. The King of Massacre was a frightening existence that surpassed a transcendent Dolu. Furthermore, this strength came from the King of Massacre himself. Hence, when he possessed Huiyuhao, the power of massacre in his body was unleashed to the maximum, and Wang Kai was pushed back. However, Wang Kai did not realize that Quan Long had been possessed by the King of Massacre, and that was why he was confused. Wang Kai has retreated. What a frightening aura! Has Quan Long awakened? The title of the strongest person in the city of Massacre is indeed well deserved. Seeing the sudden turn of events, the emotions of the spectators in the slaughterhouse were ignited once again. They cheered loudly as they discussed. In the slaughterhouse, taking advantage of the time when Wang Kai was pushed back and had yet to stabilize himself, the King of Massacre did not show any mercy. He controlled Quan Long's body, and with a weird cry, he turned into a bloody shadow and charged towards Wang Kai. After that, he turned around and stabbed. How troublesome! Feeling the vigorous energy contained in the spear in Quan Long's hand, Wang Kai felt a chill in his heart. If he was stabbed by such a spear, even with Wang Kai's physique, he would be severely injured. Even with the power of the continent, he would need 2 to 3 seconds to recover. However, the situation on the battlefield was constantly changing. 2 to 3 seconds was enough for the enemy to kill Wang Kai. If it were any other time, Wang Kai would definitely use his soul skills to dodge. However, this was the slaughterhouse, and using soul skills was not a wise choice. Hence, Wang Kai could only grit his teeth and push his heart to the maximum. Shura's blood flowed out continuously, and Shura's strength poured into Wang Kai's arm. After that, Wang Kai charged towards the spear shadow. Bang! This time, however, the King of Slaughter remained unmoved. Wang Kai, on the other hand, was forced to retreat nearly 10 steps before coming to a stop. Small cracks had appeared on the bones in his arms, and his internal organs had also begun to churn. Fortunately, the Continental Road's life force and healing power had healed Wang Kai's injuries in time. Only then had Wang Kai not lost his combat power due to the accumulated injuries. Bang 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 bang! The King of Massacre did not show any mercy. Every time he pushed Wang Kai back, he controlled Quan Long's body and attacked Wang Kai crazily. Wang Kai also used all his strength and clawed at the King of Massacre. Every time, Wang Kai would be pushed back a few steps by the King of Massacre. However, every time, Wang Kai would charge forward as if nothing had happened. He clashed with the King of Massacre again and again. What strong recovery power! What stamina! The King of Massacre controlled Quan Long's body to fight Wang Kai. Although he had the upper hand at this time, his heart was filled with shock. As a demigod with divinity, the King of Massacre could tell that Wang Kai was only a soul sage. As a soul sage, he was able to resist him for so long. This was a monster, a true monster. Chapter 333. And after this period of battle, Wang Kai also discovered that something was wrong with Quan Long. Obviously, after being seriously injured by Wang Kai, Quan Long seemed to have become a different person. Whether it was his fighting style or his combat skills, they were all significantly better than before. Not only that, but Quan Long could also control the strange energy in his body like an extension of his arm, which aroused Wang Kai's suspicions. Could it be that Quan Long was being controlled by someone? With all kinds of evidence, Wang Kai roughly figured out the truth of the matter. Since you've chosen to possess Quan Long, I'll have to use some other methods. It was obvious that Wang Kai's physical strength was not a match for Quan Long, who was controlled by the King of Massacre. However, Wang Kai's methods were definitely not limited to his physical strength. He had many other powerful methods. For example, all of Wang Kai's soul skills could be used in the Massacre City. Of course, Wang Kai was not prepared to use his soul skills in the Massacre City. That was because it would be too shocking. Using the skills of his soul bone was enough. After all, Wang Kai's soul bone was 100,000-year soul bone. Its strength was not inferior to 100,000-year soul skill. Great Void Lightning Slash. After being forced back by Quan Long, Wang Kai finally made up his mind this time. He crazily circulated his soul power and gathered it in his left arm. Suddenly, the Great Void Lightning Dragon left arm bone in Wang Kai's left arm shone brightly. Frightening silver lightning flashed on Wang Kai's left arm. These lightning flashes gathered together to form a 1.5-meter long lightning blade that could destroy everything. It was so powerful that the audience 100 meters away trembled and felt their scalps go numb. Go to hell! With a wave of his arm, the Great Void Lightning Slash left his hand. It exuded a boundless and frightening aura. It crossed space and slashed towards Quan Long. As the lightning blade traveled, the temperature in the environment dropped by a few dozen degrees. Space also became slightly distorted, and there were even signs of cracking. It was obvious how powerful it was. What is this? A self-created soul skill? No, it shouldn't be. This should be a skill that comes with the soul bone. What a powerful skill! How terrifying! Sensing the might of Wang Kai's attack, the spectators in the hellish slaughterhouse all revealed astonished expressions. Furthermore, they all circulated their soul force to block in front of their bodies, guarding against the incoming shockwave. How is that possible? What a powerful force! On the other side, Quan Long's face also revealed a trace of disbelief. Although Quan Long's body was currently under the King of Massacre's control, the King of Massacre would not be able to perfectly block Wang Kai's attack with just Quan Long's body and the soul power he possessed. However, the King of Massacre was still the King of Massacre. Although he was slightly shocked by Wang Kai's attack, he still instinctively gathered his murderous aura and blood energy to form a thick blood shield in front of him. However, all of this was destined to be futile. Rex's evil aura and the Great Void Divine Lightning were the kings of lightning. Although the King of Massacre's murderous aura was not completely evil, it was still countered by the Great Void Divine Lightning. Hence, in front of the Great Void Divine Lightning, the blood shield formed by the King of Massacre was still torn apart like a thin piece of paper. Following this, the Great Void Divine Lightning Slash, which contained a frightening amount of lightning energy, directly struck Quan Long's body. Bang! The Great Void Divine Lightning Slash directly sliced Quan Long's body into two. Following this, his body exploded and became a blinding ball of white lightning. Plasma scattered in all directions, and a frightening shock wave spread in all directions. Within this frightening ball of lightning, the King of Massacre's murderous aura in Quan Long's body clashed with the Great Void Divine Lightning. After this, the King of Massacre's murderous aura was gradually destroyed. Following this, it was Quan Long's body's turn. Without the protection of his energy, even though Quan Long's body was comparable to a titled Dolois, he was immediately turned into charcoal under the ferocious Great Void Divine Lightning. His body was unrecognizable, and the blood in his body instantly evaporated. His bones were also filled with holes. No! Sensing the impending calamity, the King of Massacre's consciousness cursed in his heart. He wanted to leave his body, but under the Great Void Divine Lightning, there was no space for him to escape. He was instantly purified. At this moment, in the King of Massacre's mansion, the King of Massacre spat out a mouthful of blood. "My great king, what's wrong?" Seeing the King of Massacre in front of her, Shah-Ji hurriedly walked over and asked with concern. "It's nothing. It's just a backlash." Under the mask, no one could see the King of Massacre's expression. However, in just an instant, his tone returned to normal. However, his heart was not calm. "I failed. How is this possible? I personally made a move, but I still couldn't kill that brat. Also, what was that lightning? How could it destroy my soul fragment?" On the other side, on the hellish slaughterhouse, the white plasma ball that contained terrifying energy disappeared. Quan Long had been electrocuted into charcoal. He was in an extremely miserable state, and his charred corpse, which no longer resembled a human, was scattered on the ground. Ding! Congratulations on killing a rank 87 Soul Dolu. You have received 37,000 origin points and 370 origin scripture points. Capital of Slaughter Quest additional reward. Congratulations, you have received an additional 333,000 experience points. Ding. Congratulations on killing the soul fragment of the King of Massacre. You have received 15,000 origin points and 150 origin scripture points. Capital of Slaughter Quest additional reward. Congratulations, you have received an additional 135,000 experience. Ding. You have 112,5000 EXP, and you need 1 million EXP to level up. You need 1 million EXP to become a rank 73 Soul Sage. You have 125,000 EXP left, and you need 125,000 EXP to level up next. 5 system notifications sounded, and Wang Kai revealed a satisfied smile on his face. At the same time, the power of evolution continued to surge out, strengthening Wang Kai's physical attribute. Under the power of evolution, Wang Kai's soul power crystallization was successfully increased by 1%, reaching 28%. His physical attributes were also increased by around 5%. This is great. I've finally become a rank 73 Soul Sage, and I'm even stronger now. However, I really didn't expect the King of Massacre to personally attack me. How terrifying! I even managed to kill a fragment of his soul fragment. This is going to be troublesome. Although Wang Kai was extremely happy because of his promotion, he was also slightly worried. However, Wang Kai also knew that the King of Massacre was restricted by the rules of the capital of Massacre. This should be his limit, and it was unlikely that he would continue to break the rules. Wang Kai didn't have to be too nervous. Let us congratulate Hell's Demon Wang Kai for successfully killing the strongest person in the Hellscape, Spear Demon Quan Long, and becoming the new strongest person in the Hellscape. The old king has fallen, and the new king has ascended to the throne. Congratulations to Wang Kai for crossing that mountain. At this moment, the referee raised Wang Kai's right hand high and announced his victory. At the side, the audience's enthusiasm was ignited once again. Wang Kai! Wang Kai! Wang Kai! At this moment, almost everyone in the audience stood up and shouted Wang Kai's name. Wang Kai smiled faintly and waved his hand. Chapter 334. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. Wang Kai was now 13.5 years old. After half a year, Wang Kai had finally won 99 matches. Now, Wang Kai was only one step away from becoming the champion of the Massacre City. Just as Wang Kai had expected, the Massacre's king didn't attack Wang Kai during this half a year. Wang Kai didn't want to waste so much time in the Massacre City. However, Wang Kai had appeared out of nowhere and killed Quan Long. Even if the Massacre City didn't reveal Wang Kai's registration information, fewer and fewer people dared to participate. Therefore, Wang Kai had to wait for a long time before he could meet an opponent. Of course, Wang Kai didn't have nothing to do during this free time. The vast blood-sobbing forest outside the Massacre City became the best place for Wang Kai to gain experience. After becoming a Soul Sage, Wang Kai could boldly enter the core region of the blood-sobbing forest to hunt. Even the strongest Bloodfiend King couldn't stop Wang Kai from hunting. Therefore, Wang Kai had a bountiful harvest in the blood-sobbing forest. He even hunted close to 10 Bloodfiend Kings, which gave Wang Kai a lot of experience. Of course, Wang Kai didn't fall behind in his cultivation during this period. Therefore, after half a year, Wang Kai's soul power had reached rank 75, and his origin experience had reached 600,000. He was 1/3 of the 1.7 million origin experience he needed to become a rank 76 Soul Sage. Apart from that, Wang Kai's soul power crystal had reached 30%, and his spiritual force had reached the realm of being able to do 34 things at once. His points had also quietly reached 9,000, and he only needed 1,000 more points to exchange for a god martial spirit. Not only that, but Wang Xian was also constantly deducing the rules of the world in the small dimension. Although the progress wasn't fast, it couldn't be ignored. After half a year in the world, Wang Xian's deduction of the rules of the world had reached 95%. Of course, the more he deduced the rules of the world, the more difficult it would be. Although the current deduction progress was only 5% away, it was definitely not something that could be completed overnight. Moreover, even if he finished deducing the rules of the world, if he wanted to deduce the 10th level of the Supreme Mystery Star Heavenly Suppressing Soul Refining Divine Technique, it would definitely take more time and effort. Therefore, in the foreseeable future, Wang Kai still needed to take the initiative to cultivate. Lastly, it was Wang Kai's strength. After becoming a rank 75 Soul Sage, Wang Kai's strength had also increased to a certain extent. When he had just become a Soul Sage, Wang Kai's fighting strength could fight against the weakest rank 91 titled Doluo for a short period of time, and he could even escape from weaker titled Doluo. Now, Wang Kai's fighting strength was enough to fight against weaker rank 91 titled Doluo for a long period of time. Of course, he could only fight against them. If he didn't use the Void Lightning Dragon transformation of his Soul Bone set, Wang Kai still couldn't defeat even the weakest rank 91 titled Doluo. As for a rank 91 titled Doluo like Bibidon, who had perfectly advanced and possessed a 100,000-year soul ring, he could easily defeat the current Wang Kai. However, even if he faced Bibidon, Wang Kai was still fully confident that he could escape safely. This was considered a good improvement. If Wang Kai wanted to defeat Bibidon, he would probably have to wait until he became a Soul Doluo. On this day, Wang Kai finally welcomed his 100th battle. On this day, there was a sea of people in the slaughterhouse. Everyone wanted to witness the birth of a champion. Bang! The last enemy was torn into two by Wang Kai's sharp claws. Even Wang Kai couldn't help but raise his hands high at this moment. He unleashed his terrifying killing aura without holding back. After about a year of hard work, Wang Kai had finally completed his 100th battle. As long as he could pass Hell's Road, Wang Kai would receive the title of Killing God and the reward for completing his mission. Following Wang Kai's movements, the killing aura around Wang Kai became denser and denser. It was almost materialized. The air formed a huge vortex in the air. Beside the slaughterhouse, all the spectators were dazed by Wang Kai's killing aura. Even the referee was no exception. At this moment, the huge slaughterhouse was almost completely silent. Only the roars of the killing aura around Wang Kai could be heard. Of course, this killing aura was far from Wang Kai's greatest gain in the capital of Massacre. After more than a year, Wang Kai had risen by more than 11 rank. This was Wang Kai's greatest and most valuable gift. Not to mention the liberated Shura's bloodline power, stronger battle instincts, and other gains. The capital of Massacre was indeed Wang Kai's paradise. Wang Kai! Wang Kai! Wang Kai! Soon, the spectators woke up from their shock and looked at Wang Kai in the center of the slaughterhouse with reverence. No one knew who started it, but almost all the spectators began to cheer Wang Kai's name. However, the strange thing was that this time, the black-armored judge didn't step forward. Instead, he obediently stood at the side with his hands by his side. After about half a minute, a faint aura suddenly enveloped the Hell slaughterhouse. "Congratulations, young Hell's demon!" A low and sharp voice suddenly descended from the sky. Then, a terrifying pressure enveloped the entire slaughterhouse. At the center of this pressure was Wang Kai. Under this pressure, Wang Kai's killing aura actually flowed back into Wang Kai's body the moment this voice sounded. As the strong killing aura entered his body, Wang Kai's face instantly turned pale. His body trembled slightly, but he immediately stabilized himself and didn't make a fool of himself. King of Massacre, 10 years to the east, 10 years to the west, 10 years to the east, 10 years to the east, 10 years to the west, don't bully the young. Today you used your realm to suppress me. In the future, you will use your head and blood to pay for your sins. He swore fiercely in his heart. At this time, the blood-red figure of the King of Massacre also descended from the sky. King of Massacre! King of Massacre! King of Massacre! Following the appearance of this figure, the spectators' enthusiasm was further ignited. Many of them even shouted until their voices were slightly hoarse, but they still didn't have any intention of stopping. At this time, Wang Kai also hid the hatred in his eyes and looked at the scarlet figure in midair. It was a tall man wrapped in a huge scarlet cloak, revealing only his pale arms. His face was completely covered by a ferocious ghost mask, and his eyes were shining with a blood-red luster. Chapter 335. The King of Massacre's body came to the center of the slaughterhouse. After that, his body slowly descended from the sky, as if he wasn't affected by gravity at all. Finally, the King of Massacre's blood-red body floated in midair, about 5 meters from the ground. For normal soul masters, if their martial souls weren't bird-type or insect-type martial souls, they wouldn't be able to fly. However, for a titled Doluo, they could rely on their immense soul power to support their flight. Whether it was Tang Hao, who saved Tang San and Xiao Wu, or the King of Massacre today, they were all like this. At this moment, the King of Massacre's gaze landed on the spectator stands around the slaughterhouse. After that, he revealed a sinister look. I'm very happy to witness the birth of a champion of the slaughterhouse today. It's been a few decades, and there hasn't been a 100-win soul master in the slaughterhouse. Today there's finally a new champion. What's even more impressive is that he only took less than a year and a half to successfully obtain the honor of a 100-win soul master. He used his immense strength and terrifying killing intent to make all of you tremble. Is that right, my people? The King of Massacre's eyes revealed a demonic smile as he looked at the audience that was packed to the brim, and he shouted in a loud voice. Yes, 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 yes. The King of Massacre seemed to have a unique charm, causing all the citizens of the city of Massacre to feel a kind of crazy worship when they saw him. After that, the King of Massacre lowered his head and looked at Wang Kai on the ground. Hell's demon, thank you. You've allowed us to experience the beauty and passion of slaughter again. 100 victories, you've done well. To commend your achievements, I've decided to make an exception and give you the title of Killing God. From today onwards, you can freely enter and exit the slaughterhouse. At the same time, you'll be a guest elder of the slaughterhouse under me. I don't have to walk the hell road anymore? At this moment, Wang Kai was slightly taken aback. However, he quickly regained his senses and understood the King of Massacre's intention. Walking on the Hell's Road was undoubtedly very dangerous. However, once a soul master made it through the Hell's Road, he would be able to obtain the Massacre domain. Furthermore, the possessor of the Massacre domain would be able to use soul skills in the capital of Massacre. Evidently, the King of Massacre didn't want Wang Kai to obtain the Massacre God's domain. That was why he offered such a generous condition. Hell Demon, are you willing to accept my reward and become a VIP guest of the capital of slaughter? Looking at Wang Kai, the King of Massacre's eyes glowed with a bloody light as he asked indifferently. There's no need for that. Your Excellency King of Massacre, I appreciate your kind intentions. However, the only reason I've come to the city of Massacre is to challenge the Hell's Path. Compared to the title of Killing God that you've bestowed upon me, I'd rather rely on my own strength to break out of Massacre City. Only then will I be worthy of the title of Killing God. After hearing the King of Massacre's words, Wang Kai smiled faintly as he rejected the King of Massacre's offer. All right, then I'll fulfill your wish. Evidently, the King of Massacre knew that the chances of Wang Kai accepting his offer were infinitely close to zero. As such, he didn't say anything else. Instead, his eyes glowed with a bloody light as he coldly replied. After he finished speaking, the King of Massacre's eyes suddenly turned blood-red. A thick red mist suddenly spread out from his body. The enormous aura of blood forced Wang Kai to retreat several meters. He had to retreat until he was about 10 meters away from the King of Massacre before he could withstand his aura. Furthermore, the King of Massacre wasn't just releasing a murderous aura. Instead, it was an extremely evil aura that caused one's bones to stiffen and turn cold. Become the sacrifice for the opening of the Hell's Path. A faint voice came from the King of Massacre's mouth. Following the King of Massacre's low growl, an evil and cold blood-red ripple spread out rapidly in all directions. In the blink of an eye, it had basically covered the entire massacre ground. In the spectator stands, all the spectators were exceptionally excited at this moment. They were discussing with each other. In just a short day, they had already witnessed the birth of the champion of the infernal slaughterhouse. They had even personally seen the great king of slaughter. And now, they were about to witness the legendary Hell Road. How could they not be excited? Unfortunately, although they knew that the Hell's Path was about to open, they didn't know that the knell of the death god had quietly sounded. Their lives had also come to an end. Yes, other than the King of Massacre and the King of Massacre, no one had ever seen the opening of the Hell's Path. The reason was very simple. Before the Hell's Path opened, all the spectators and even the staff in the massacre ground would be killed and become the sacrifice for the opening of the Hell's Path. The red light that brought about immense pressure swept past Wang Kai and rushed towards the spectator stands around the massacre ground. In the spectator stands, the spectators were originally crazily cheering and discussing enthusiastically. However, after the red light landed on the spectator stands, the spectators suddenly quieted down. Their eyes gradually became lifeless, and then from lifeless to blood-red. It didn't take long for the red light from the King of Massacre to form a giant barrier around the slaughterhouse. Immediately afterwards, the strange silence in the slaughterhouse was broken. The soul cultivators who were enveloped by the red light, regardless of whether they were residents of the slaughterhouse or workers of the slaughterhouse, all began to attack the people around them in a frenzy. Some of them even began to bite their own bodies. Violent screams rang out from the red light barrier. To the soul masters within the red light barrier, it was as if they had gone mad. They attacked themselves or others in a frenzy. To the soul masters that could survive in the inner city, most of them had a certain level of strength. At this moment, they poured out all of their strength. In an instant, the massacre ground was torn apart, blood splattered everywhere, and severed limbs flew wildly. However, what was even more strange was that although their bodies were heavily injured and their mouths were constantly screaming, there was a look of excitement and even intoxication in the eyes of these soul masters. It was as if the various injuries on their bodies brought them extreme joy in their hearts. Many of the spectators were badly mutilated and dripping with blood, but they didn't hesitate to attack or mutilate themselves. Such a frenzied action would only stop when their lives were over. As time passed, even the stronger spectators couldn't escape the fate of madness and were drawn into this frenzied slaughter. Chapter 336. Even though Wang Kai had killed over 1,000 soul cultivators in the capital of massacres and possessed the bloodline of the Azura sovereign, he still furrowed his brows and shook his head when he saw the scene of carnage. Even though Wang Kai possessed the bloodthirsty martial soul of the Emperor Shura, Wang Kai's soul came from the Blue Planet, which advocated law, peace, and development. As such, Wang Kai couldn't bear to see such a scene. To Wang Kai, if it was an enemy or someone who posed a threat to him, Wang Kai naturally wouldn't have the heart of a saint. He would have killed them all. However, in all fairness, Wang Kai didn't have the intention to kill innocent people. As time passed, the blood that was scattered on the ground also began to condense. A large amount of blood was like a small stream that flowed through the inconspicuous small pipes under the spectator stands and surged towards the Hell Slaughterhouse in the center of the Hell Slaughterhouse. Countless wriggling red liquid flowed into the massacre's platform like small snakes. Very quickly, a thin layer of blood appeared on the massacre's platform. Furthermore, the height of the layer of blood increased rapidly as time passed. It's their honor to be the sacrifice for the opening of the path to hell. As if he could see the dissatisfaction in Wang Kai's eyes, the King of Massacre shouted in a low voice. At this moment, the cries of agony in the Hell Slaughterhouse had completely stopped. Aside from Wang Kai and the King of Massacre, there was no third person left alive in the Hell Slaughterhouse. All that was left were unrecognizable bodies, torn limbs, and shattered organs. At this moment, the blood on the Hell Slaughterhouse had unknowingly accumulated to the height of a person. Stand in the center. The King of Massacre pointed to the center of the massacre's platform and instructed plainly. Yes, Your Excellency, King of Massacre. As he spoke, Wang Kai followed the King of Massacre's instructions and stood in the center of the massacre's platform. Open! With a low growl, the blood-red energy around the King of Massacre's body exploded once again. His aura rose rapidly. Then, the King of Massacre stretched out his right hand and pointed at the ground of the Hell Slaughtering Arena. Following the King of Massacre's finger, grooves began to appear on the originally smooth ground. The blood in the Hell Slaughtering platform rapidly flowed into the groove. Gradually, the blood gathered to form a huge blood-red bird-shaped pattern on the ground of the Hell Slaughtering platform. At this moment, Wang Kai was standing in the middle of the pattern. The amount of blood in the Hell Slaughterhouse gradually decreased, and correspondingly, the blood-red radiance released by the bird-shaped creatures on the ground became increasingly powerful. In Wang Kai's vision, there was only a sea of blood left. Fortunately, Wang Kai had his mental strength, so he didn't panic. Another moment passed, and Wang Kai waited patiently for the hell path to open. At this moment, the eyes of the bird-shaped creatures on the ground suddenly lit up. In an instant, Wang Kai's mental strength was swallowed by the red radiance, and everything around him gradually became blurry. The huge red radiance soared into the sky, and then suddenly disappeared. At this moment, Wang Kai's figure was no longer in the Hell Slaughterhouse. Only the King of Massacre's sharp and low voice reverberated in the Hell Slaughterhouse. I wish you good luck on the hell path. At this moment, under the devouring of the blood-red radiance, Wang Kai felt that there was nothing under his feet. Everything around him became illusory, and all of his senses were completely sealed at this moment. However, through the divine eyes of Fortune Martial Soul, Wang Kai could clearly sense that the spatial power around him was extremely sensitive. Obviously, the entrance to the Hell Path was similar to the Angel's Secret Realm's teleportation spell formation. The energy source was the large amount of blood from before, and the key was in the hands of the King of Massacre. Not only that, but with the sharp perception of his mental strength, Wang Kai also discovered that the murderous aura around Wang Kai's body was condensed into a layer of faint white ripples, and if it wasn't for the murderous aura, Wang Kai would have been swallowed by space the moment the blood-red energy spread. After an unknown period of time, accompanied by a violent tremor, Wang Kai's senses returned to normal, and the blood-red energy that enveloped him gradually faded. Looking around, he was already on a circular platform. This stone platform was only about 5 meters in diameter, and all around it was a bottomless abyss that emitted scorching heat and the smell of blood. Looking down, there was an endless pool of blood. That's right. Under the Hell Road was the human blood that had been accumulated in the City of Massacres over the years. It was also known as Bloody Mary by the residents of the City of Massacres. Or perhaps it was the sacrificial offering for the Hell Road. With a simple analysis, it wasn't difficult to see that the Hell Road wasn't only the path to leave the City of Massacres, but it was also the core of the City of Massacres. To be more precise, it was the energy source of the strange domain in the City of Massacres. Looking around the small platform again, the only way out of the platform was a small stone path that was about 20 centimeters wide, and could only allow 2 people to stand on it at the same time. If it was just walking on the solitary bridge, it would be easy for even a soul elder. However, the hell path wasn't as simple as being narrow. The first danger of the hell path was the blood poison in the air. The endless sea of blood under the hell path was emitting an endless amount of blood aura. Perhaps one or two of these blood auras wouldn't be frightening, but in the space where the hell path was located, the air was filled with thousands of blood auras, forming a frightening blood poison. If one wasn't a soul sage expert, they would probably die from the poison in less than an hour. As for the second danger of Hell Road, it came from an unknown exotic beast. In this boundless sea of blood, who knew how many special poisonous beasts lived? After all, there were so many blood beasts in the blood-sobbing forest. The blood aura here was very dense, and the law of massacre was even more condensed. It would be strange if there weren't any strange beasts born here. Not to mention, Wang Kai was a transmigrator, so he had a certain understanding of the hell path. The strange beasts were already quite dangerous, and the hell path was already narrow, so the threat of the strange beasts multiplied. If it was on flat ground, soul masters could still flexibly exert their strength and dodge. However, on the hell path, soul masters couldn't dodge at all, and the space for them to exert their strength was extremely small. This made the strange beasts even more troublesome. Chapter 337. The first two dangers were absolutely fatal to ordinary soul masters. It was no wonder that the Massacre City had stood tall on the Doloa continent for so many years, and there were only 8 people who could pass through Hell's Road to become the killing god. Even if they could become the champions of the Hell's slaughtering grounds, most of them had perished in Hell's Road. Of course, to Wang Kai, these two dangers were actually nothing. On one hand, Emperor Shura's physique made the blood poison in Hell Road completely ineffective against him. On the other hand, Wang Kai's soul power was not restricted, and he had powerful fighting strength, so he was not afraid of danger. However, even so, after entering Hell Road, Wang Kai still discovered a rather terrible thing. After entering Hell Road, the blood energy in the space occupied 99% of the space, and correspondingly, Wang Kai's continental strength could absorb very little energy. Relying on the continental strength soul skill to obtain a high amount of soul power and vitality recovery was one of the guarantees of Wang Kai's strength. In Hell Road, the effects of Wang Kai's continental strength soul skill did not completely disappear, but it was definitely less than 1 in 10, or even 1 in 100. Of course, this didn't mean that Wang Kai couldn't quickly recover his soul power. One couldn't forget that Wang Kai had the miraculous, yin-yang body. Although its effects were far inferior to the power of the continent, it could still provide Wang Kai with a considerable amount of recovery. However, compared to when he was in the capital of Massacre, Wang Kai had to be more careful with his soul power. He couldn't use soul skills without limit. However, in all fairness, Wang Kai was not too worried about Hell Road. After all, even if his recovery ability was hindered, Wang Kai's strength was still far superior to ordinary soul masters. In addition, Wang Kai had the soul skill Gravity Domain, so he could fly for a short period of time and did not need to worry about losing his footing and falling into the cliff. Let's recuperate first. After resting cross-legged for a while, Wang Kai also closed his eyes and adjusted his breathing for a moment. He calmed down the discomfort caused by the spatial travel and adjusted his condition to the best. Let's go. Looking at the narrow Hell's Road in front of him, Wang Kai nodded slightly and prepared to set off. If he wanted to pass through Hell Road, he could either take the narrow path above Hell Road or climb to the bottom and pass through the blood pool. There was no third path. Although it was dangerous to pass through the narrow path, the blood pool below the narrow path gave Wang Kai an extremely strong sense of danger. Therefore, Wang Kai no longer hesitated and strode forward. Walking on Hell's Road, Wang Kai also walked forward step by step. His pace was not fast, and the distance of each step was very even. He maintained a stable rhythm and even pace. To Wang Kai, who was a soul sage, Walking on such a narrow path was not a challenge at all. If Wang Kai was willing, he could even use his spiritual wanderer steps to walk on Hell's Road as if he was flying. However, Hell's Road was not that simple. Therefore, Wang Kai did not rush forward at full speed. Instead, he walked at a constant speed and released his spiritual power to detect his surroundings so that he could be prepared for any danger that might appear at any time. Hell's Road was extremely dark. If it were an ordinary person, they would probably only be able to see within 10 meters of them clearly. However, Wang Kai's spiritual power was comparable to that of a titled Dolu. His eyesight had become even sharper after being modified by Emperor Shura. Therefore, such darkness was not a problem for Wang Kai. Wang Kai squinted his eyes and looked forward. He also released his spiritual power carefully. He also carefully observed all the movements in his surroundings. Even the slightest movement of grass could not escape Wang Kai's notice from 100 meters away. 1 step, 2 steps. Wang Kai also maintained such a stable and harmonious rhythm. His figure also quickly disappeared into the dark red darkness. Unknowingly, Wang Kai could no longer see the round platform behind him, even with his senses. Wang Kai did not walk very quickly. After all, as a transmigrator, he was very clear that Hell's Road contained great danger. After all, this was the inheritance ground left behind by the famous god Shura. As Wang Kai advanced, Wang Kai also started to realize that the surrounding air was gradually becoming hot and dry. The air was also filled with fire poison. Not only that, but his altitude also decreased. The distance from the underground blood pool decreased from 1,000 meters to 900 meters. Evidently, the blood pool might not be completely filled with blood. It could also be filled with magma. However, no matter what it was, it definitely contained a frightening and dangerous existence. Not only that, according to this situation, the last part of Hell's Road was very likely to be submerged in the blood pool. That part of the road was definitely the most dangerous and difficult to traverse. As he continued to move forward, Wang Kai suddenly heard a buzzing sound from far away under the investigation of his sharp spiritual power. Although it was very soft, it was obvious that their target was Wang Kai. Therefore, Wang Kai also raised his vigilance to 120%. With a thought, Wang Kai also activated his soul power and immediately entered the state of Emperor Shura's possession. Suddenly, Wang Kai's body was covered by thick blood-red Shura's scales. Long and sharp Shura's claws also grew out of his hands. His aura rapidly rose and his battle intent also became stronger. After entering the state of Emperor Shura's possession, Wang Kai's senses also became sharper. At the same time, he did not continue to move forward. Instead, he stopped at the same place and waited for the group of creatures to arrive. As time passed, the buzzing sound in the air became louder and louder. It was extremely noisy. Soon, at the boundary of Wang Kai's vision, some red shadows were rapidly approaching. Soon, Wang Kai understood why the frequency of the sound in his senses was so high. Therefore, the creatures that were flying over were definitely not 1 or 2, but a large group that covered the sky. In terms of numbers, there were at least 1,000 of them. When these creatures came closer, Wang Kai could finally see what they were. They were blood-red locusts that were incomparably malevolent. They had frightening fangs and were only about 40 centimeters long. However, when they spread out their enormous wings, they were definitely more than a meter long. 1 or 2 of these locusts were naturally not much because their strength was only equivalent to the lowest level of 1,000-year soul beast. In other words, they were human soul exalt. However, what appeared in front of Wang Kai was definitely not 1 or 2 of these locusts. There were at least a few thousand of them in this group. It was possible that there were even 10,000 of them. They were like a red poisonous cloud as they quickly flew towards Wang Kai. Chapter 338. Humph, no matter how many of them there are, they're just a bunch of trash. Wang Kai's expression didn't change much as he looked at this swarm of blood locusts. He only stared coldly at the swarm of blood locusts in front of him, without any nervousness or fear. His muscles automatically tensed up as he prepared for battle. Take this. Shura's blood claw. These blood locusts weren't slow. In just a few breaths' time, the blood locusts closest to Wang Kai were less than 100 meters away from him. At this moment, Wang Kai also channeled his soul power into the soul rings behind him as he activated his soul skill. The first black soul ring behind him suddenly lit up. Following this, a blood-colored power condensed in front of Wang Kai and formed a pair of blood-colored flying claws that were 1 meter long. They were extremely ferocious. Wang Kai swung his arms forward, and the blood-colored flying claws in front of him followed his movements. They cut through space and shot towards the swarm of blood locusts in the distance, leaving a faint trail of blood in the air. The blood-colored flying claws broke through the air and traversed a distance of several hundred meters in an instant. With Wang Kai's soul power that was comparable to a high-level soul Delua's, Shura's blood claw finally unleashed its might. All the blood locusts along the way were torn into pieces and died instantly. Even the blood locusts that were close to 10 meters away from Shura's blood claw were torn apart by the strong wind pressure and fell into the blood pool below. You've killed a swarm of blood locusts. You've obtained Origin Experience plus 300, Origin Points plus 3. The system's notification sounded. With this attack, Wang Kai had killed at least 100 blood locusts. However, it was obvious that Wang Kai's attack had angered the blood locusts. In the next moment, the speed of the swarm of blood locusts increased tremendously, and they suddenly charged towards Wang Kai. Oh, interesting! Seeing the blood locusts speed up, Wang Kai's eyes finally revealed a trace of seriousness. It was obvious that these blood locusts were stronger than Wang Kai had expected. They weren't at the level of a 1,000-year soul beast, but at the very least, they were at the level of a 3,000-year soul beast. In other words, they were comparable to a soul ancestor. Again, Shura's sky-splitting strike. However, in front of Wang Kai, there wasn't much of a difference between a 1,000-year soul beast and a 3,000-year soul beast. They were all targets that Wang Kai could easily kill. Looking at the densely packed blood locusts, Wang Kai smiled faintly and activated his soul force again. As Wang Kai poured his soul power into Wang Kai, his second soul ring flickered and his aura surged. Following this, waves of powerful Shura's murderous aura quickly condensed around Wang Kai. In the next moment, Wang Kai clasped his hands together and raised them above his head. Then, he slowly waved them down. Following Wang Kai's movements, streaks of blood-colored light blades that contained mysterious power shot out from Wang Kai's hands. Immediately after, they carried an incomparably terrifying aura as they tore through space and shot towards the blood locusts in all directions. They let out a whoosh-whoosh sound, showing how fast they were. At the same time, they left streaks of strange blood shadows in the air. Bang! 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 The blood-colored light blades tore through space. Although the power of each blood-colored light blade was far inferior to Shura's blood claw, there were many of them. At least 100 blood-colored light blades shot out in all directions with Wang Kai as the center. Furthermore, they killed all the blood locusts along the way. Killed a swarm of blood locusts. Obtained experience plus 8848, origin points plus 88. The system's notification sounded again. Under Wang Kai's attack, the blood-colored locusts within 50 meters of him were all eliminated, turning into a vacuum zone. In the space between 50 and 100 meters, the originally densely packed blood locusts were much thinner. Only a few of the larger and stronger ones were not dead. Many of the weaker blood locusts were like shooting stars as they fell into the bottomless abyss below. With one attack, Wang Kai killed another 1 to 2,000 blood locusts. Even the swarm of blood locusts that had reached over 10,000 seemed to have scattered a little. The intelligence of these blood locusts was not low. After knowing that Wang Kai had a powerful group attack skill, they were no longer willing to get close to Wang Kai. However, they were not willing to leave either. They continued to surround Wang Kai and flapped their wings continuously, blowing waves of unstable air towards Wang Kai. A swarm of troublesome ants. Feeling the air around him, Wang Kai frowned slightly. If the blood locusts swarmed him, then Wang Kai could easily kill them. However, they were now scattered and were unwilling to get close to Wang Kai. This caused Wang Kai a little trouble. Emperor Shura was a close-combat martial soul. It did not have any long-range soul skills. If these blood locusts did not get close to Wang Kai and only used Emperor Shura, then Wang Kai would not have many ways to deal with them. He could only allow them to harass him. The tactic of these blood locusts was very clear. They wanted to use harassment to exhaust Wang Kai's strength. They would attack when Wang Kai was exhausted. The tactic of these blood locusts was fatal to ordinary soul masters. However, it was completely ineffective against Wang Kai. On one hand, Wang Kai had the yin-yang body. His physical strength would not be depleted by such harassment. On the other hand, Emperor Shura was not the only martial soul that Wang Kai had. Eternal and devouring dragon, come out. With a thought, soul power gathered around Wang Kai's body. Following this, a grayish-black dragon martial soul appeared in front of Wang Kai. It was dozens of meters long and exuded a terrifying aura. It was extremely ancient and seemed to be able to devour everything in the world. Eternal dragon's roar. With a cold smile, Wang Kai's sixth red soul ring suddenly lit up. Following this, the eternal and devouring dragon in front of Wang Kai opened its mouth. Whoosh! A terrifying dragon's roar came from the mouth of the eternal and devouring dragon. The sharp dragon's roar carried a terrifying dragon's pressure. With Wang Kai as the center, it instantly spread in all directions. Following this dragon's roar, the ear-piercing screams of the blood locusts rang out. The moment they were hit by the dragon's roar, 90% of the blood locusts' bodies exploded under the dragon's might. They turned into clouds of blood mist. About 9% of the blood locusts did not explode. However, their organs and brains were shattered by the dragon's roar. They fell to the ground like rain. The remaining 1% of the blood locusts that were relatively stronger and further away from Wang Kai barely survived the eternal dragon's roar. However, even so, their auras were greatly reduced. Their speed also became much slower. It was evident that they had been severely injured by the dragon's roar. Chapter 339. Killed a swarm of blood locusts. Origin experience plus 114,000. Origin points plus 114. The system's notification rang in Wang Kai's mind again. Wang Kai raised his head and looked around. The swarm of blood locusts that covered the sky had disappeared under the eternal dragon roar. The number of blood locusts that survived was estimated to be less than 100, and most of them were heavily injured. After eliminating most of the blood locusts, Wang Kai found a unique blood locust among the remaining blood locusts. Obviously, it was the king of the blood locusts. In front of Wang Kai's narrow path, a particularly large blood locust appeared. Under the illumination of the surrounding faint red light, the huge blood locust's body emitted a dark golden light. Compared to the other blood locusts, this blood locust's body was undoubtedly many times larger. Its body was about 4.5 meters long, and on both sides of its body, there were 3 pairs of extremely thick dark golden forelegs. They emitted a terrifying aura that made one's heart palpitate slightly. If such a huge locust was already very amazing, then what was even more terrifying and frightening was that there were 3 heads on its neck. On each head of the dark golden 3-headed blood locust king, there was a pair of sharp blood-red horns. They were extremely sharp and flashed with a dangerous light. At the same time, on the 3 heads of the dark golden 3-headed blood locust king, 3 pairs of compound eyes were staring at Wang Kai, as if they would explode at any time. Chi-chi. Accompanied by an ear-piercing scream, the dark golden 3-headed blood locust king suddenly opened a pair of huge wings behind its body. The terrifying wingspan was actually more than 10 meters wide. Then, the wings behind the dark golden three-headed blood locust king also flapped crazily. It was so fast that it was hard to see clearly. Under the impetus of the huge wings, the dark golden three-headed blood locust king's body also flew up and flew straight towards Wang Kai's direction. Good timing! Looking at the dark golden three-headed blood locust king in front of him, Wang Kai's eyes finally revealed a trace of seriousness. In terms of cultivation, the dark golden three-headed blood locust king's aura was only comparable to the cultivation of a 30,000-year soul beast, which was equivalent to a mid-level soul sage using his martial soul. However, this dark golden three-headed blood locust king was not an ordinary soul beast. It was a mutated species that was born in Hell's Road. Its strength was definitely many times stronger than an ordinary 30,000-year soul beast. It was definitely an existence that could fight above its level. Not only that, but in the special environment of Hell's Road, the dark golden three-headed blood locust king's strength was strengthened to a certain extent. In addition to the influence of the special terrain, this dark golden three-headed blood locust king that could fly was like a natural terrain advantage. Even someone as strong as Wang Kai had to be careful and could not be careless when facing such a terrifying opponent. Shura's god-killing spear. Frantically channeling his soul power, Wang Kai's third red soul ring suddenly lit up. Streaks of golden brilliance appeared beside Wang Kai, and in the void beside Wang Kai, thousands of mysterious runes flickered. Immediately after, these mysterious golden runes and energy crazily condensed in the air. In the blink of an eye, these golden energies formed the embryonic form of a long spear in the air. Following that, it became solid at a speed visible to the naked eye. After a breath, a 2.5-meter-long spear that flickered with dazzling golden light and had many mysterious runes engraved on the spear shaft appeared in Wang Kai's right hand. At this time, the dark golden three-headed blood locust king had already flown to Wang Kai's side. Before its huge body pounced, an unparalleled tyrannical aura had already rushed over. A terrifying gale blew towards Wang Kai, even more ferocious than the thousands of blood locusts from before. Even Wang Kai had to divide his attention to not be affected by this gale. And when it arrived in front of Wang Kai, this dark golden three-headed blood locust king suddenly let out a strange cry. A circle of dark red ripples spread out from its head and enveloped Wang Kai. At the same time, this dark golden three-headed blood locust king also waved its pair of front legs. Like the sharpest machete, it viciously slashed towards Wang Kai's body. The dark red ripples swept past Wang Kai, and Wang Kai also felt his body freeze slightly. Obviously, this was a type of control skill that the dark golden three-headed blood locust king possessed. However, Wang Kai didn't panic at all. Instead, he waved the Shura's god-killing spear in his hand and welcomed the sharp blade-like front legs of the dark golden three-headed blood locust king. Dang! A crisp sound of metal clashing was heard, and sparks flew everywhere. Although the dark golden three-headed blood locust king was very strong, it was still not as strong as Wang Kai. Instantly, Wang Kai swept the dark golden three-headed blood locust king a few meters away. However, he also took 2 steps back because of the recoil. Fortunately, this hell's path was made of some unknown material, and it was unscathed after experiencing such a strong impact. Go to hell! After being sent flying by Wang Kai's spear, this dark golden three-headed blood locust king was also a little dazed by the huge force that came from its feet. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Wang Kai also picked up the Shura's god-killing spear and threw it at the dark golden three-headed blood locust king crazily. Whoosh! Under Wang Kai's huge force, the Shura's god-killing spear also left his hand. Like a sharp arrow, it directly crossed space, leaving behind a beautiful golden shadow, and shot towards the middle head of the dark golden three-headed blood locust king in the distance. In less than half a breath's time, The golden Shura's god-killing spear had already crossed nearly 100 meters of space and directly hit the middle head of the dark golden three-headed blood locust king. Rip! Although the dark golden three-headed blood locust king's body was extremely sturdy, Wang Kai's Shura's god-killing spear was the product of a 100,000-year soul ring, and its power was boundless. In addition to the terrifying speed that Wang Kai added to it, its destructive power was boundless. Therefore, under the terrifying impact of the Shura's god-killing spear, the middle head of the dark golden three-headed blood locust king was instantly penetrated, and blood burst out. Woo-woo! After suffering such a heavy injury, the two heads on the right side of the dark golden three-headed golden locust king also let out a mournful cry. Its body was also a little unstable, and it was on the verge of falling in the air. However, Wang Kai did not plan to let it go so easily. Explode! With a thought, the Shura's god-killing spear on the head of the dark golden three-headed golden locust king also suddenly exploded, turning into a blazing fireball that emitted endless heat, like a small sun. A terrifying energy fluctuation and shock wave shot out from the explosion and instantly enveloped the dark golden three-headed golden locust king's body. Chapter 340. After a few breaths, the golden energy ball created by the explosion of Shura's god-killing spear finally dissipated, leaving only strong energy fluctuations that continued to spread in all directions. However, after waiting for a few seconds, there was no system prompt in Wang Kai's mind. Obviously, the dark gold three-headed blood locust king wasn't killed by Wang Kai's attack. As expected, in Wang Kai's vision, the dark gold three-headed blood locust king flew out shakily from the energy fluctuations. Its body was badly mutilated, its flesh was scorched black by the high temperature, and two of its three heads were blown off. It only had one head left. Its aura was extremely weak, and it seemed like it would die at any time. Although its aura was very weak, the dark gold three-headed blood locust king immediately lifted its remaining head and let out a strange shriek after escaping from the terrifying energy fluctuations. Following the shriek of the dark gold three-headed blood locust king, about 100 surviving blood locust kings also flew in the direction of the dark gold three-headed blood locust king. They kept approaching the dark gold three-headed blood locust king's body, and then mysteriously disappeared. The blood locust king merged with the dark gold three-headed blood locust king's body one after another. As the blood locust king merged with the dark gold three-headed blood locust king, its originally weak aura and vitality recovered rapidly. The terrifying injuries on its body were also healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The two heads that were blown off also grew back rapidly. Interesting. However, how many more companions do you have to devour? Looking at the dark gold three-headed blood locust king in the distance, Wang Kai's eyes revealed a trace of disdain. In order to recover its injuries, the dark gold three-headed blood locust king had devoured at least 50 blood locust kings. At this moment, after the baptism of the eternal dragon roar and the dark gold three-headed blood locust king's devouring, there were less than 50 surviving blood locust kings. At most, the dark gold three-headed blood locust king could only recover its injuries once. On the other hand, although Wang Kai's 100,000-year soul skills consumption was huge, Wang Kai's total soul power was also very abundant. It was enough to support Wang Kai to release a 100,000-year soul skill 5 times. Not only that, but Wang Kai also had the miraculous physique of yin-yang body, which could recover about 20% of Wang Kai's soul power every minute. This allowed Wang Kai could rest. Evil creature, eat my spear. Shura's god-killing spear. Activating his soul power, the third red soul ring behind Wang Kai lit up again. Following that, the golden Shura's god-killing spear appeared in Wang Kai's right hand again, emitting an endless amount of pressure. Exerting strength in both arms, the golden Shura's god-killing spear streaked across the sky again and went straight for the dark gold three-headed blood locust king in the distance. At this time, the dark gold three-headed blood locust king had just recovered from its injuries. Its two blasted heads had just regenerated, but it could only watch as the golden spear that had beaten it half to death flew towards it again. As a high-tier soul beast, the dark gold three-headed blood locust king had a certain level of intelligence even though it hadn't unlocked its intelligence. Previously, it had suffered a great loss from the Shura's god-killing spear. This dark gold three-headed blood locust king knew that it couldn't defeat this spear, so it didn't choose to fight it head-on. The golden Shura's god-killing spear kept approaching the dark gold three-headed blood locust king. At this moment, the leftmost head of the dark gold three-headed blood locust king suddenly emitted a layer of golden light. However, this layer of golden light wasn't used on the enemy, but on its own body. Following this layer of golden light, a type of golden smoke enveloped the dark gold three-headed blood locust king's body. Under the effect of this golden smoke, the dark gold three-headed blood locust king's enormous body suddenly exploded and turned into hundreds of small golden locusts that scattered in all directions. Whoosh! Facing the dark gold three-headed blood locust king that suddenly turned into countless small locusts, Wang Kai's Shura's god-killing spear naturally missed and broke through the air. Only the small locusts that were in the path of Shura's god-killing spear were killed. The other small locusts weren't harmed at all. How troublesome! Looking at the dark gold three-headed blood locust king that scattered in all directions, Wang Kai frowned slightly. Such a strange ability wasn't difficult to deal with for Wang Kai, but it was still quite troublesome. Come back! Waving his hand, Wang Kai didn't detonate the Shura's god-killing spear this time. Instead, he controlled it to return to his hand. Knowing that Wang Kai's strange golden spear could self-detonate, the dark gold three-headed blood locust king purposely kept its clones far away after splitting up. Even if it detonated the Shura's god-killing spear, it would at most kill 10 or 20 of the dark gold three-headed blood locust king's clones nearby. It wasn't very meaningful. If they were in the outside world, perhaps Wang Kai would have directly detonated the Shura's god-killing spear. After all, every time he used the Shura's god-killing spear, it would only consume 10% of Wang Kai's soul power. Wang Kai's strength of the continent could replenish this consumption in a few seconds. However, this was Hell's Path, after all. Wang Kai's recovery ability was greatly weakened. Therefore, it was necessary to use his soul power sparingly. Just as Wang Kai withdrew his spear, the golden fog surged again. Following a muffled bang, the hundreds of little golden locusts merged again, and became the dark gold three-headed blood locust king again. However, this time, it wasn't in a hurry to kill Wang Kai. It only used the 6 compound eyes on its 3 heads, which were bigger than basketballs, to stare at Wang Kai. It was very obvious that this dark gold three-headed blood locust king was completely enraged by Wang Kai. Seeing that almost all of its subordinates were killed by Wang Kai and that it was heavily injured by Wang Kai, strange sharp horns continuously sounded from the 3 heads of the dark gold three-headed blood locust king. At the same time, the sharp horns on its body suddenly turned blood red. Is it going to use some powerful skill? Looking at the dark gold three-headed blood locust king in the distance, Wang Kai frowned slightly. At this time, the dark gold three-headed blood locust king had also finished charging its skill. The 3 pairs of sharp spikes on its 3 heads directly separated and attacked Wang Kai from all directions like blood-red arrows. Humph! Chaotic mountain and river cauldron, come out! Sensing it slightly, the 6 spikes launched by the dark gold three-headed blood locust king all had a tracking function. It was a directional skill and couldn't be dodged. Therefore, Wang Kai also summoned his martial soul with the strongest defense, Chaotic Mountain and River Cauldron. Waves of soul power gushed out from Wang Kai's body and condensed into an ancient cauldron in front of Wang Kai. Countless boundless mountains and surging streams were carved around the cauldron, and the cauldron exuded a long and heavy aura. It seemed to be able to experience the changes of the universe over hundreds of millions of years, and it also seemed to be able to pull one's soul into the ancient soul ring time. Chapter 341. Mysterious Yellow Guard. After releasing the chaotic mountain and river cauldron, a total of 21 soul rings appeared behind Wang Kai. They corresponded to Emperor Shura, the eternal and devouring dragon, and the chaotic mountain and river cauldron. After he activated his soul power, the first soul ring of the chaotic mountain and river cauldron also lit up. In the next moment, the chaotic mountain and river cauldron in front of Wang Kai jerked slightly. Following this, an extremely thick and heavy streak of earthy yellow mysterious yellow qi surged out from the mouth of the chaotic mountain and river cauldron. Furthermore, it quickly spread in front of Wang Kai and formed a faint yellow film. While this yellow film seemed very thin, and seemed like it could be broken with a light poke, its defensive strength was actually very frightening. When he was only a soul elder, Wang Kai's mysterious yellow guard could resist the all-out attack of a soul ancestor. It was very heaven-defying. After Wang Kai became a soul sage, the defensive strength of the mysterious yellow guard was even greater. It could even weaken the attack of a titled Dolua. If it wasn't a titled Dolua's all-out attack, it could even block it directly. Bam! After Wang Kai released the mysterious yellow guard, the 6 sharp red thorns struck the yellow film around Wang Kai's body from top, bottom, left, right, front, and back at almost the same time. Ear-piercing sounds of collision could be heard. The power of the dark gold 3-headed blood locust king's 6 spikes was indeed extraordinary. Even a soul Dolua could be hurt by this attack, and even a titled Dolua could be injured. It was a pity that its target this time was Wang Kai, who possessed 4 divine martial souls and could use soul skills. Under the protection of the mysterious yellow guard, the 6 thorns were blocked by the mysterious yellow guard even though they were close to Wang Kai's body. The strength that they carried was only enough to cause countless ripples on the film formed by the mysterious yellow guard. They couldn't break through the mysterious yellow guard's defense, let alone threaten Wang Kai, who was inside the mysterious yellow guard. Of course, as the dark gold 3-headed blood locust king's trump card, the 6 thorns didn't just have the ability to pierce. After they were close to Wang Kai, the 6 thorns from the dark gold 3-headed blood locust king's blood-red light instantly shone brightly. Following this, they suddenly exploded at the same time. In an instant, a deafening explosion rang out. 6 huge clouds of blood rolled and rose into the air. The area within dozens of meters was enveloped by the terrifying blood poison. Frightening energy undulations burst out in all directions, bringing along frightening shockwaves. At the center of the explosion, layers of energy undulations crazily attacked the film formed by the mysterious yellow guard, causing it to fluctuate continuously. Its color also dimmed continuously. However, after the explosion, the dark gold 3-headed blood locust king's frightening attack still couldn't break through the mysterious yellow guard's defense. It only depleted about 3/4 of its energy. Of course, even if the dark gold 3-headed blood locust king's attack was a little stronger and could break through the defensive film formed by the Xianwang Qi in the Xianwang barrier, it wouldn't be able to hurt Wang Kai at all. This was because as long as Wang Kai was willing, his soul power could support him to maintain 4 additional layers of the Xianwang barrier. Under the mysterious yellow guard, Wang Kai was naturally safe and sound. On the other hand, after the dark gold 3-headed blood locust king released the 6 spikes on its forehead, its aura became rather sluggish. Its speed also dropped significantly. Yes, the 6 spikes that the dark gold 3-headed blood locust king shot at Wang Kai were the product of a large amount of energy and blood essence condensed from the dark gold 3-headed blood locust king's body. If it was only released to stab the enemy, it wouldn't cause too much damage to the dark gold 3-headed blood locust king. However, in order to hurt Wang Kai, the dark gold 3-headed blood locust king chose to detonate all 6 spikes. This naturally caused great damage to the dark gold 3-headed blood locust king, causing it to fall into a weakened state. Bastard, now you can die. Become the resource for my evolution. Taking advantage of his weakness to take his life. Seeing that the dark gold three-headed blood locust king had become extremely weak, Wang Kai smiled sinisterly. Devouring galaxy explosion. The first red soul ring that corresponded to the devouring dragon suddenly shone. Immediately after, boundless devouring power gathered in the mouth of the eternal and devouring dragon in front of Wang Kai, forming a star of devouring that contained the power of devouring. Immediately after, the eternal and devouring dragon opened its mouth towards the dark gold three-headed blood locust king in the distance. The star of devouring transcended space and shot towards the dark gold three-headed blood locust king. Seeing Wang Kai's attack and sensing the terrifying energy within the star of devouring, the dark gold three-headed blood locust king used the same trick again. The leftmost head spat out golden light waves again, and its body split into hundreds of small golden locusts in a layer of golden smoke that escaped in all directions. Humph, insignificant tricks. I knew you would do this. Devour. Looking at the clone of the dark gold three-headed blood locust king, Wang Kai snorted coldly. After that, he activated the devouring power of the star of devouring. In the next moment, the star of devouring suddenly shone and emitted a special gray light. Immediately after, a terrifying devouring power was released from the star of devouring, and everything within 100 meters was crazily sucked towards the star of devouring. The dark gold three-headed blood locust king had just transformed, and it didn't have time to escape before the terrifying devouring power came and sucked all its clones towards the center of the star of devouring. The dark gold three-headed blood locust king struggled with all its might, but it couldn't escape. All its clones were sucked closer and closer to the star of devouring. Explode. Within a few breaths, under the terrifying suction force, all of the dark gold three-headed blood locust king's avatars were attracted to a distance of 10 meters from the star of devour. At this moment, Wang Kai smiled sinisterly. Following Wang Kai's words, cracks suddenly appeared on the outer shell of the star of devouring. Immediately after, these cracks rapidly spread around the star of devouring. Bang! Following a violent explosion, the star of devouring exploded. The terrifying devouring power and energy waves wreaked havoc within 10 meters of the star of devouring, destroying and devouring all living things within the explosion range. In this explosion, all the clones of the dark gold three-headed blood locust king were crushed, annihilated, and devoured, disappearing from this world. Ding! Killed the dark gold three-headed blood locust king. Obtained origin experience plus 53,000, origin points plus 530. The system notification sounded again, and Wang Kai smiled faintly. The dark gold three-headed blood locust king that blocked his path had been completely destroyed, and he could continue on his journey to Hell's Road. Chapter 342. I'll rest for a while and recover my soul power. With a thought, Wang Kai released Emperor Shura's possession. The chaotic mountain and river cauldron and the eternal and devouring dragon disappeared, while the Shura's Godslayer's spear turned into specks of golden light and returned to Wang Kai's body as soul power. After using 700,000 year soul skills consecutively, Wang Kai's soul power was still depleted by close to 50% even though he had the yin-yang body to replenish his soul power. The Hell Road was fraught with danger, and Wang Kai had to maintain his perfect condition. Hence, he sat down with his legs crossed and recovered his soul power. 5 minutes later, Wang Kai's soul power had recovered to its peak with the help of the yin-yang body. His physical strength had also recovered to its peak. Wang Kai nodded and stood up. He continued to walk along the Hell Road step by step. Several hours passed in the blink of an eye as Wang Kai continued to walk. At this point, Wang Kai was already several dozen kilometers away from the starting point. As Wang Kai continued to move forward, the distance between the Hell Road and the blood pool at the bottom of the Hell Road had decreased to about 500 meters. As the distance between the Hell Road and the blood pool decreased, the air became hotter and hotter. Not only that, but the blood chi in the air also became thicker and thicker. The blood poison also became more and more terrifying, and it was more and more harmful to the human body. Without special methods, even a soul Dolua couldn't stay here for long. Of course, all of this wasn't a problem for Wang Kai, who had Emperor Shura's bloodline. Even if he didn't use the Emperor Shura's possession, Wang Kai could ignore the poison with his powerful physique. Hence, Wang Kai was able to maintain his best condition. As he continued to walk forward, Wang Kai sensed with his spiritual power that there was a rustling sound in the distance. When he heard this sound, Wang Kai stopped again. Emperor Shura's possession. It was clear that Wang Kai was about to face a second enemy after such a long period of peace. Therefore, Wang Kai silently circulated his soul power and used Emperor Shura's possession. Soul power surged within his body, and Shura's bloodline was continuously awakened. Sturdy Shura's scales grew on the surface of Wang Kai's body. At the same time, Wang Kai's fingers also became thicker and larger, becoming thick Shura's claws. Shura's demonic flames burned brightly around Wang Kai's body, transforming Wang Kai's body into the most powerful combat weapon. At the same time, Wang Kai slowed down his pace again. Every step was extremely stable. As Wang Kai moved forward, the rustling sound became louder and louder. Then, a pair of huge, fiery red eyes appeared in Wang Kai's line of sight. Yes, on the narrow road ahead, a dark red body was crawling there. Although he couldn't see how huge its body was for the time being, with a simple observation, the figure was really a snake. Its entire body was wrapped around the narrow road. This strange snake had basketball-sized eyes that exuded a golden-red luster. It was as bright as a lantern and exuded a dangerous luster. It was even more terrifying than the dark gold three-headed blood locust king from before. As he continued to approach this snake-like creature, Wang Kai finally saw its full appearance. This snake's body was very long, reaching at least a few dozen meters. Its abdomen was also abnormally huge, bulging on the narrow road. On its head and back, there were a total of 9 bulges. Each bulge was like a bright red mushroom, and there seemed to be blood flowing inside. Wang Kai saw the strange snake, and at the same time, the strange snake also saw Wang Kai. Its golden red eyes suddenly shone several times brighter, as if they were lit on fire. The tongue that was crawling on the narrow road also slowly raised. This is the 10-headed flame snake, right? It's really powerful. Looking at the strange snake in the distance, Wang Kai nodded slightly and muttered to himself. Compared to the dark gold three-headed blood locust king that Wang Kai killed before, the aura of this 10-headed flame snake was undoubtedly more powerful, emitting a kind of aura that made one's heart palpitate. At this moment, the 10-headed flame snake continued to move forward and approached Wang Kai. Although the 10-headed flame snake didn't have legs, its crawling speed still couldn't be underestimated. In just a few breaths, it had already crossed a distance of 100 meters and was constantly approaching Wang Kai. Soon, the distance between the strange snake and Wang Kai was less than 100 meters. At this moment, the bloody smell on the strange snake's body could be felt, and it was letting out a wah-wah sound from its mouth like a baby. At this moment, the 10-headed flame snake in the distance suddenly opened its bloody mouth. Gwa, accompanied by a strange cry, the 9 sarcomas behind the 10-headed flame snake emitted a golden red luster. At the same time, the 10-headed flame snake's mouth also emitted a golden red luster. Following that, it opened its mouth and a golden red flame suddenly shot out from its mouth, carrying a strong stench. It stuck close to the ground and quickly spread towards Wang Kai. The golden red flame fluctuated violently on the narrow road, even emitting crackling sounds of burning rocks. What was even more terrifying was that this golden red light carried a layer of faint red mist. Without asking, one would know that this red mist definitely contained a strong poison. Even a grain of rice can emit such a luster? A mocking expression appeared on Wang Kai's face as he stared at the flames that were charging towards him. Then, his right eye suddenly lit up. Divine Eye of Creation. With a low shout, Wang Kai also awakened the Divine Eye of Creation in his right eye. Elemental Control. Return to me. Channeling his soul power, Wang Kai's first martial soul, which corresponded to the Divine Eye of Creation, suddenly lit up. Following that, Wang Kai stretched out his hand and pointed forward. The golden red flame actually turned around and burned towards the 10-headed flame snake. This was the tyranny of the Divine Eye of Creation. Although it was only one soul skill, it could provide Wang Kai with control over all the basic elements. Wang Kai used the power of his control over the fire element to change the direction of these fire elements and attack the 10-headed flame snake that released them. Seeing that its attack was reversed and flying back, the 10-headed flame snake did a miraculous action. Just as the flames were about to reach it, the 10-headed flame snake's upper body suddenly loosened, and it actually fell from the narrow road to the abyss at the side. However, just as the flames swept past its body, its head once again coiled around the narrow road, and its body behind it repeated the same process. It actually dodged the flames just like that. Chapter 343. Again, take this. Just as the 10-headed sun snake dodged, Wang Kai took advantage of this opportunity to crazily activate all the soul power in his body. In the next moment, his fourth soul ring, which corresponded to the Eye of Destiny, flashed, and the 5-ring pattern slowly lit up, making it look even more beautiful. Power of Destruction. As his soul rings flashed, Wang Kai immediately established a miraculous connection with the law of destruction. With a thought, 20% of Wang Kai's soul power disappeared. At the same time, a mysterious, pitch-black ball of light the size of a basketball appeared in Wang Kai's right hand. It exuded a terrifying aura that could destroy everything. Bastard, go to hell! Looking at the 10-headed sun snake in the distance, Wang Kai smiled sinisterly. His eyes flashed with killing intent, and with a thought, he controlled his right hand and waved it fiercely. In the next moment, the ball of light formed from the power of destruction in Wang Kai's right hand flew out. It carried a terrifying might as it traversed space and flew towards the 10-headed sun snake in the distance. As the ball of light traveled, space became distorted and blurred, as if it would shatter at any time. It was enough to show how terrifying the power of the ball of light was. Seeing the frightening ball of light pounce towards it, the 10-headed sun snake wanted to use the same trick again. However, this time, the ball of light seemed to be equipped with a radar as it shot towards the 10-headed sun snake's head. Seeing that it couldn't dodge, the 10-headed sun snake let out an angry hiss. Then, it arched its body on the narrow path, and the 9 sarcomas on its back were all aimed in the direction of the ball of light. In the next moment, the 9 sarcomas on the back of the 10-headed sun snake shattered at the same time. Following that, 9 golden-red pillars of light shot towards the ball of light, forming a golden-red barrier. Insignificant tricks. Explode. Wang Kai's eyes flashed fiercely, and with a thought, he detonated the ball of light. The 10-headed sun snake's defensive barrier was quite strong, and could even block an all-out attack from an ordinary beginner soul dolu. However, Wang Kai's power of destruction wasn't to be trifled with, either. After absorbing 20% of Wang Kai's soul power, the ball of light in Wang Kai's hand was comparable to an ordinary advanced soul dolua's all-out attack. It wasn't something that the 10-headed sun snake's tiny barrier could block. Bang! Following an earth-shattering sound, the pitch-black ball of light exploded with a thought from Wang Kai's mind. The 10-headed sun snake's golden-red barrier was torn by that explosion. Following that, a terrifying power of destruction engulfed the 10-headed sun snake's body. At the same time, gusts of wind pressure from the center of the explosion, the 10-headed sun snake. Oh, it's not dead yet? The shock waves from the explosion dissipated, but Wang Kai didn't hear any notifications from the system. Evidently, the 10-headed sun snake hadn't been killed. Through the smoke and dust produced by the explosion, a golden-red ball was suspended in midair. It radiated a strange light that blocked the power of destruction. It was the 10-headed sun snake's inner core. However, the color of the inner core was undoubtedly very dim, and there were many cracks on it. Evidently, the 10-headed sun snake's inner core had been drained of its energy to block the power of destruction. Furthermore, it had been severely injured. Evidently, it wouldn't be able to recover or be used in a short period of time. When Huiyuhao looked at the 10-headed sun snake's body again, he realized that it wasn't severely injured because of the inner core's protection. However, its aura had become a lot weaker. Evidently, this was the aftereffect of the inner core being damaged. Not bad. No wonder you're a prehistoric beast. However, your inner core may be able to block the power of destruction once, but can it block the power of destruction a second time? Wang Kai revealed a mocking smile as he looked at the 10-headed sun snake in front of him. After that, he activated the power of destruction once again. The 10-headed sun snake seemed to have sensed the aura of the power of destruction in Wang Kai's hands. It seemed to have descended into a frenzy. Its thick, bucket-like body rose high into the air, and its speed increased by several times. In an instant it was right in front of Wang Kai. Following that, it coiled its body around him, and wanted to use its body to crush Wang Kai. It's useless. Wang Kai shook his head slightly as he looked at the 10-headed sun snake. With his speed and strength, it would be a huge joke if he was caught by the 10-headed sun snake. Shura's instant hell shadow stab. Wang Kai channeled his soul power, and his fifth soul ring, which corresponded to Emperor Shura, lit up. In the next instant, Wang Kai's figure disappeared from where he was standing. He entered the shadow space and escaped from the 10-headed sun snake's attack. In the next moment, Wang Kai's figure suddenly flashed and appeared behind the 10-headed sun snake. At the same time, countless amounts of power of darkness drilled out from under the 10-headed sun snake's body. They formed pairs of large hands and tightly bound the 10-headed sun snake's body. After that, Wang Kai waved his hand again. Countless amounts of power of darkness gathered, and a 1.5 meter long, 15 centimeters thick Shura's shadow stab appeared in Wang Kai's hand. With a flip of his hand, the Shura's shadow stab shot towards the 10-headed sun snake's body. With its body bound, the 10-headed sun snake struggled incessantly in an attempt to break free from the power of darkness. Just as it was about to succeed and break free, the Shura's shadow stab arrived and drilled into the 10-headed sun snake's body. The sound of flesh being torn apart could be heard. Normally, the Shura's shadow stab wouldn't have been able to hurt the 10-headed sun snake with the power of the inner core. However, the 10-headed sun snake's inner core had been heavily damaged when it blocked the power of destruction earlier. This caused the 10-headed sun snake's defense to drop greatly, and it was unable to block the tyrannical attack of Wang Kai's Shura's shadow stab. The Shura's shadow stab didn't seem too thick, only 15 centimeters in diameter. However, due to the terrifying power it carried, the wound it caused was much larger than its diameter. It directly drilled a 1-meter wide hole in the 10-headed sun snake's body, almost cutting the 10-headed sun snake in half. Not only that, but at the edge of the wound, balls of black gas containing power of darkness were constantly corroding the wound, making sizzling sounds and leaving behind pools of black water. At the same time, golden-red blood gushed out from the wound like spring water, emitting a strange smell that was a mixture of blood and foul odor. Chapter 344. Hiss hiss. The 10-headed sun snake let out a blood-curdling screech as its body was severely injured. Its body writhed in pain, and its life force was rapidly draining away as it lost a large amount of blood. Now you can die. Wang Kai smiled faintly as he looked at the dying 10-headed sun snake. He activated the power of destruction once more, and his fourth soul ring, which corresponded to the Eye of Destiny, lit up. This time, Wang Kai only used 5% of his soul power. As his soul power disappeared, a fist-sized ball of destructive power shot out from Wang Kai's body. Then, it crossed space at an extremely fast speed and went straight for the 10-headed sun snake. Although this one was far inferior in size and power compared to the previous one, the 10-headed sun serpent was already at the end of its tether and had no way of defending itself. It could only watch helplessly as the destructive light sphere drilled into its body through its wounds. Explode! Following Wang Kai's low shout, the destructive ball of light exploded in the 10-headed sun snake's body. The powerful destructive power and impact wreaked havoc in the 10-headed sun snake's body, tearing it to pieces. The 10-headed sun snake's body was reduced to fine powder, and its original shape couldn't be seen anymore. Only a golden-red inner core floated in the air and wasn't destroyed. Ding! You have killed a 10-headed sun snake. You have obtained 65,000 experience and 650 origin points. The system's notification sounded in Wang Kai's mind. Hearing the system's notification, Wang Kai nodded in satisfaction. Although the experience from killing the 10-headed sun snake wasn't much, it provided a large amount of origin points. Wang Kai's origin points broke through the 10,000 mark. This should be a great supplement for Mo Shu. Then, I'll give it to her as a gift. With a thought, Wang Kai carefully put away the 10-headed sun snake in front of him. He teleported it into his small plane and gave it to Mo Shu. As Wang Kai's descendant, Mo Shu's main bloodline came from the Shura clan. However, she also had some arachnid bloodline in her body. The 10-headed sun snake was also a supreme snake, and was one of the poison kings. Its inner core contained the 10-headed sun snake's energy essence. If Mo Shu devoured it, it would definitely be beneficial to her growth and evolution. Rest for a while, let's continue. Although the battle with the 10-headed sun snake had only lasted a short minute, Wang Kai had expended a lot of soul power and stamina in the face of an existence that was comparable to a high-level soul dolor. Therefore, Wang Kai sat down cross-legged again and rested for a few minutes. He recovered to his peak condition before continuing on his journey. There were a total of 3 stages in Hell's Road. After slaying the 10-headed sun snake, Wang Kai had already completed 2 of them. Therefore, Wang Kai didn't encounter any other monsters on his journey. However, as Wang Kai moved forward, the height of Hell's Road gradually decreased. Unknowingly, the distance between Hell's Road and the Blood Sea was less than 100 meters. At this point, the dark red liquid flowing in the abyss gradually became clearer. At the same time, the temperature in the air rapidly increased, reaching a few hundred degrees. If he was an ordinary soul master, he would definitely have to expend a lot of soul power to resist the high temperature, which would be troublesome. However, Wang Kai was different. Emperor Shura's bloodline and yin-yang body gave Wang Kai great resistance to fire. Unless the temperature was over 1,000 degrees, it wouldn't be a threat to Wang Kai. However, Wang Kai's clothes couldn't withstand the high temperature and had been burned to ashes. Wang Kai threw them away. Apart from the high temperature, the blood poison in the air was also becoming more and more intense. Compared to when he first stepped onto Hell's Road, the blood poison here was at least 100 times more intense. Even a titled Dolua couldn't stay in such an environment for long. Even Wang Kai secretly activated Emperor Shura's bloodline to resist the blood poison that was constantly invading his body. Not only that, but as Wang Kai moved forward, there was a special field in the air. Under this field, although the high temperature of the outside world affected Wang Kai's body, it made Wang Kai extremely anxious. He even developed a faint bloodlust. Fortunately, Wang Kai's spiritual power was in the liquid phase, and his spiritual power was comparable to a titled Dolua's. This was why he was able to suppress the restlessness in his heart. Finally, another half an hour passed. As Wang Kai continued to move forward, the temperature continued to increase. The blood on both sides also rose rapidly. Finally, Wang Kai saw the exit of Hell's Road. In the blood-red Hell's Road, the exit of Hell's Road was also very unique and obvious. In the distance, white light condensed into an oval-shaped light screen. That was the end of Wang Kai's journey. However, when he was 1,000 meters away from the exit, the narrow Hell's Road had already disappeared. In front of him was a blood-red ocean. At this point, the blood had already gathered into a small lake, blocking the exit. As long as he crossed this blood lake, he would be able to leave the Hell's Path. The blood lake was bubbling and an endless amount of evil energy was emitted. It gave Wang Kai a feeling of extreme danger. I should adjust myself first. After sitting down cross-legged to rest for a while, he secretly activated his spiritual power to eliminate the anxiety in his soul. Wang Kai also stood up and prepared to complete the last leg of his journey to Massacre City. Emperor Shura's possession. Facing this last unknown journey, Wang Kai was also very cautious. He completed the state of Emperor Shura's possession at the first moment and entered the battle mode. Chaotic Mountain and River Cauldron, come out! With a thought, Wang Kai also summoned the Chaotic Mountain and River Cauldron. Facing the last leg of the journey, Wang Kai was prepared to use the gravity domain and pass through it directly. Although Wang Kai was not afraid of the blood in the blood pool with his physique, since there was a better way, why should he take the risk? Gravity domain. With a thought, the second soul ring behind Wang Kai that corresponded to the Chaotic Mountain and River Cauldron suddenly lit up. Immediately after, the gravity domain enveloped Wang Kai's surroundings, and Wang Kai's body also floated with the help of the gravity domain. Not bad, we can set off now. With his body floating in midair, Wang Kai also strode forward on the blood sea without any danger. However, just as Wang Kai was halfway through, there was a sudden fluctuation under the blood sea. Immediately after, a bloody mouth gushed out from the blood sea and bit straight at Wang Kai. Chapter 345. What kind of monster is this? Even though he was startled by the sudden appearance of this monster, Wang Kai was still an expert who had experienced hundreds of battles. Even though he was stunned for a moment, Wang Kai relied on his body's instinctive reaction to quickly circulate his soul force. His body moved slightly to the side, and the bloody mouth brought along a nauseating stench as it brushed past Wang Kai's body. What kind of monster is this? After dodging the monster's attack, Wang Kai turned to look at the monster in front of him with interest. This was a soul beast that resembled a crocodile, but its body was several times larger than a normal crocodile. Its body was at least 10 meters long, and its width was more than 5 meters. Its bloody mouth was 5 meters long, and its teeth were half a meter long. They were incomparably sharp and gleaming with a cold light, as if they could swallow and tear apart any living thing. Wang Kai continued to look at the crocodile's body. The surface of its body was covered with a layer of extremely coarse blood-red scales. It was obviously very strong in defense, and it was also very good at hiding. If it was hiding in the blood sea, it would be very difficult to discover it. On its back, there was a row of extremely sharp spikes that glowed with a cold light, as if they could cut through anything. After that, Wang Kai looked at the front half of the crocodile's body. On both sides of its mouth, there was a pair of large blood-red eyes that were about half a meter in diameter. They were about the size of a tire, and there was a murderous and cruel look in them. Its forelimbs were unusually thick, and were at least a meter in diameter to support its huge body. At the end of its forelimbs were extremely sharp claws that glowed with a blood-red light. Finally, Wang Kai looked at the crocodile's lower body. Its hind limbs were even thicker than its forelimbs, but the ends of its limbs were soaked in blood, so its claws couldn't be seen clearly. Behind the crocodile, there was a 10-meter-long tail that was covered in sharp spikes. It looked as if it could crush any enemy with a single swipe. System, scan for me. Wang Kai didn't have any clues as he observed the soul beast, so he used his appraisal eye to probe the soul beast. Soul Beast name: Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor. Soul Beast cultivation: 50,000 years. The Soul Beast health: 100%. Soul Beast description: the Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor possesses boundless strength. Its tail, claws, and mouth are all its strongest weapons. At the same time, it specializes in venom attacks and is extremely dangerous. It belongs to the category of soul beasts that can fight above their level. Host, please be careful. After a breath's time, the appraisal eye completed its scan and the feedback appeared in Wang Kai's knowledge sea. A 50,000-year soul beast is really strong. It seems like this is the true guardian of the final stage of the Massacre City. However, in the original timeline, Tang San used a trick to climb out from the top of Hell's Road. That's why he didn't encounter this terrifying soul beast. Wang Kai's eyes turned cold as he looked at the Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor in front of him. There was a serious look on his face as he thought to himself. Seeing that its sneak attack didn't hit Wang Kai, the Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor gathered its strength and launched a second attack. The Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor in front of Wang Kai sank its forelegs and twisted its body. Immediately, its extremely thick tail covered with sharp thorns carried a terrifying gust of wind as it crossed the space with an imposing manner that could sweep away everything. It swept directly towards Wang Kai's body, emitting a sonic boom as it tore through the air. Clearly, it possessed a terrifying speed and power. It's not bad, but it can't hit me. Wang Kai smiled faintly as he looked at the Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor's attack. He didn't show any signs of panic. In all fairness, the Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor's attack was enough to threaten a mid-tier soul Dolu. If it was a normal soul master who had crossed Hell's Road, it wouldn't be easy to take this attack head-on. This was especially so when they had to defend against the high temperature and the blood poison in the air. Even a titled Dolua would be injured if they weren't strong enough. However, Wang Kai wasn't an ordinary soul master. He activated his gravity domain slightly and Wang Kai's body quickly rose up. The Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor's tail swept past Wang Kai's body and didn't hit Wang Kai. However, just the gust of wind brought by the crocodile's tail made Wang Kai's skin feel numb. This showed how powerful it was. Now it's my turn. Taking advantage of the Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor's attack and its unstable body, Wang Kai attacked. He activated his soul power and his sixth soul ring lit up. Shura's demonic flames. Following Wang Kai's low roar, a thick layer of purple light flashed around Wang Kai. Following this, Shura's demonic flames burned on the surface of Wang Kai's body. They emitted a purple light and revealed an extremely dangerous aura. In an instant, the temperature around Wang Kai rose by a few hundred degrees. Wang Kai pointed a finger and all of the Shura's demonic flames around Wang Kai's body began to gather at his fingertips. Following this, Wang Kai's demonic flames broke through the air and traversed through space. They flew towards the Shura's demonic flames and wrapped around the body of the Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor. Shura's demonic flames were a special type of flame formed by Shura's fiendish aura. Not only was its temperature incomparably high, but it also had a terrifying corrosive power. When the Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor's demonic flames came into contact with it, it immediately began to burn. Immediately, the scales on the Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor's body were charred black and corroded into a black liquid. The flesh and blood inside were also quickly melting away. Hiss! Suffering such an attack, the Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor let out a painful shriek. Following this, it dived into the blood sea and disappeared. However, when it reappeared a few seconds later, the Shura's demonic flames on its body had been completely extinguished. There were only a few potholes left on its body. What a pity! I didn't expect the blood sea to have such an effect. This Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor is really lucky. Looking at the Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor under him, Wang Kai shook his head slightly. If the Blood Sea hadn't been able to extinguish the Shura's demonic flames, the Shura's demonic flames would have used the Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor's body as fuel and burned even more fiercely. In the end, the Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor had completely melted the Blood Sea. Unfortunately, the Sky Poison Blood Crocodile Emperor relied on the Blood Sea to neutralize the attack of the Shura's demonic flames.